Hello everyone, welcome to our project-based Salesforce admin training. Before we will proceed towards the 2-day session, let's know who I am first. So hi guys, I am Tanya Puri, your Salesforce consultant from TS Info Technologies. I specialize in both managing and building stuff in Salesforce and have expertise in both Salesforce administrator and developer. I am also working with numerous of clients and serving them Salesforce project according to their specific need. Throughout my journey in Salesforce, I have gained invaluable expertise that I am excited to share with you all. So whether you are a beginner or an expert, this session is designed to help you learn how to utilize Salesforce Administrator to create a complete application. I will provide you step-by-step guidance on creating an application within the Lightning interface. So today we will be focusing on building a task assignment management and tracking application. Throughout this session, I will walk you through each step of the process from conception to the execution. Our focus will be on understanding CRM fundamental and exploring Salesforce application feature. We will discuss the Salesforce app, objects and tab along with their fields and function. Additionally, we will dive into a validation rules, setting up of a record types, customizing the page layout. Furthermore, we will cover essential aspects such as creating of a profiles, roles and user. And finally, we will address security feature and how to utilize the list view efficiently. So let's dive in and create something excited together. So before we will talk about the Salesforce application, let's have a quick introduction to CRM and Salesforce. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. CRM is a C for customer, R for relationship, and M for management. It refers to the practices, strategies, and technologies that companies use to manage and analyze customer interactions and data throughout the customer life cycle. Basically, this CRM have a goal of improving customer relationship, retaining their customers and driving the sales growth of the company. In simple, if you say the CRM is a technology for managing all your company's relationship and interactions with customers and potential customers. You can say leads them. If we talk about a Salesforce, the Salesforce Inc. is a famous American cloud based software company that provides a CRM services. So, if we talk about specialized Salesforce, Salesforce is one of the leading cloud based CRM platform that offers a wide range of tools and functionalities that helps the businesses to manage their sales, marketing, customer services, and more. Basically, it allows business to better connect with the partners, customers and potential customer. So I hope you have get a quick idea about CRM and the Salesforce. So before we dive into a technical detail, let's understand the application we will create. Let's imagine there is a company dealing with various IT projects each month. They are dealing up with thousands of projects belong to the IT industry each of the month, and to effectively manage their customer relationship and streamlining the internal operations, the company relies on a Salesforce. However, they also want to use this Salesforce to efficiently manage their employees and their daily tasks, and that's where our two-day session come in. Today we will be learning how to create a task assignment application using a Salesforce, which is a comprehensive solution created to a company's need, that is efficiently management of their employees and their daily task. So let's first talk about some of the key features of our project. We are dealing up with the employees and the task assignment object that facilitate us easy tracking, and we also deal up with the default values that ensures the timely task initiation. We enhance our data clarity with the help of fields and the formulas, and to ensure the data integrity we will use the validation rules. if moving to head, if we talk about the streamline of a data entry, we are going to do it with the help of the record pages. And last but not the least, to assess the controls and the restrictions, we are using up the security measures of a Salesforce. And this application will serve as a digital to-do list for the company and help them to keep the track of what their employees are working on each day. So guys, log in into your Salesforce account as an administrator, and if you don't have any account and you are learning the Salesforce and creating this application, log in into the developer's account and turn up your sleeves and start making the application with us step by step. So when we are creating some application in Salesforce or want to do some project in Salesforce, our first step is to creation of an app. So let's first understand what does we mean by an app in Salesforce. So an app in a Salesforce is a collection of tabs that work together to provide a set of related features and functionality. In simple term, you can consider this app as a database, and as I am saying it is a collection of tabs, you can consider the tabs as a different table inside this database. Okay, so now let's proceed and learn to create how we can create an app in Salesforce Lightning. So make sure that you are firstly logged in as a administrator in your Salesforce account. Once you get logged in, you most of the time get this kind of a home page in your screen. This is not a main setup home page for a Salesforce Lightning. It is a simple home page of some of the app that you set as a default landing page. So now to redirect yourself to the main setup homepage of a Salesforce Lightning interface, you need to click on this gear icon that is given on the top right side. Here we have two different options, a setup, which is a setup for the current app, and the service setup that takes you to the developer console. You need to click upon this setup option, the first one, that is a setup for the current app. When you click on that, it opens up a new tab in your window and take you to the main home setup page for the Lightning interface, or you can say experience. Now the screen that is visible on your screen right now is the main home setup page. Here you can see that it is a setup home page of a Lightning interface. So once you successfully redirected here, you are reached to the main home setup or in a Salesforce Lightning. Now to create a custom app in Salesforce, our first step is to search for the apps in the quick find box. This quick find box is located on your left hand side on the top. Here you need to type up the apps. As we are going to create up an app in our project, that is a task assignment tracker. So for this we are firstly creating an app, and here I am typing the apps in the quick find box. It opens some result, and under this apps section I get the option of a app manager. Okay, so now I click on this app manager option and it will take me to the page where I will get all the apps that are already existing in a Salesforce Lightning experience, and it is the place where I am creating up the new app in a Salesforce Lightning experience. Now to create up the new custom application in a Salesforce Lightning, here on the right we have a button name as a Lightning app, a new Lightning app. You need to click on that button as our requirement is of a creation of the new Lightning app. So here it's open up the pop-up that is a new Lightning app, and our first section is app details and branding. Okay, here you need to give your Lightning app a name and a description, and you need to upload an image and choose a highlight color of its navigation bar. So here we have some different fields. Let's understand one by one. So first one is a app name. This is a name of your application, and this name should be clearly indicate the purpose or the functionality of your app. The next we have a developer name. This is the unique developer name for your app that gets automatically populated when you enter the app name. Okay, and this name is used internally within a Salesforce and should follow some certain naming conventions also, like it doesn't take up the spaces. Instead of space it takes as underscore. The next we have a description where you need to write up the description for your app, and this description helps the user to understand what the app does. The next we have an image. This field has an option to upload an image to represent your app. If you want to load some image for your particular application, you can upload it from your system. The next we have a primary hexa color value. In this field, you need to enter the hexadecimal value of the primary color you want to use for your app's branding. The next we have a org theme. If you check this checkbox, your app will use its image and color instead of inheriting the custom theme set at the organization level. If you want to add some this functionality, you can check this checkbox, otherwise you can leave it. The next is a app launcher preview. Here you will get a preview of how your app will appear in the app launcher based upon the settings that you have set in this step. You can see that here it has some star marks. Okay, these star marks fields are required. The rest of the things are optional. If you want to fill it, you can fill it. Otherwise you can leave it blank. It's not mandatory. Here we have only two mandatory fields, that are app name and the developer name. So as per my requirement, I need to create an application that tracks the task assignment of an employee. So here I am putting up my app name as a task assignment tracker. And let's see, when I click on the developer name, it get automatically populated. And now I also want to change the primary hexa color. I am going to set it to the different color. If you want to choose it from the drop down, you can click it, change it and select the color. If you know the hexadecimal value, you can directly add this hexadecimal value in this column. Like here I am adding the hexadecimal value that I want to set up for my app. Here you can see I set it up. Here the primary color hexa value gets changed, and this is the app preview of my application that I am creating. Task assignment tracker. It has a logo of TA with this color. Okay, so now after filling up all such mandatory details, you need to click on the next button. So once I click on the next button, it takes me to the next section of creation of an app. Here it's section known as a app options. Here we have firstly navigation and the form factor. Here we have a standard navigation option. If this option is selected, it displays an item in a navigation bar at the top of the page, and it is a traditional navigation style commonly used in a Salesforce, and by default you can see that this option is selected. The next option we have a console navigation. If this option is selected, it displays a list of record in a sidebar and open each record in a new workplace tab. Okay, the next we have a supported form factor. You need to choose the form factor where you want your app to be available. We have option of a desktop and a phone. If you choose this, your app will be accessible on a desktop and a phone also. Okay, and the next we have option of a desktop. If you choose this option, your app is only accessible to the desktop devices. And the last we have a phone option. If you choose this one, your app is only accessible to the mobile phones. Moving on the right side, we have a setup and the personalization. It selects which setup experience to show as the first item in the setup menu for your app. Here we have a section of a setup experience in which we have an option of a setup full set of a setup options. If you check this option, it provides a user with the full range of a setup option in the setup menu for this app. And the next we have a service setup, and this option is used to customize the setup experience to focus on a service related setting, and you can see that by default this setup option get selected. The next we have some checkboxes under this app personalization section. Here we have a disable end user personalization of a nav items in the app. Okay, and this item prevents the user from personalizing the navigation item within the app. The next we have a disable temporary tabs for item outside this app, and if you also check this checkbox, This option prevents the temporary tabs from being opened for item outside the app. And the last, we have a use of a omni-channel sidebar. This option enables the use of a omni-channel sidebar if your app utilize the omni-channel features. So these are the not mandatory ones, so I'm not going to check it. If you have a requirement of any, you can check these check boxes, but according to the my project, I don't need any of the thing, and the rest of the settings that are set by default are perfectly fine for me. So I simply need to click on the next button to proceed to the next step. Once I proceed to the next step, it's take me to the section of a utility item desktop only. Okay, here the utility item provides user with the quick access to the productivity tools and other background utility within your custom app, and you simply need to click on the next step. If you don't want to do anything, the things are set up finally. Here the utility bar alignment is set up to default. If you want to add some utility items, you can click on this add utility item and you can add it, but according to my requirement it is perfectly fine, so I am clicking on the next button to proceed. Once I click on the next, it takes me to the place where we have a section of a navigation items selection. Okay, so here I need to select up the items that I want to include in the app's navigation from the available item column to the selected items. And to add up these things, we need to click on the add arrow, and these items could be standard Salesforce features, custom objects, or custom tabs. So once you have selected these items, you can arrange their order also, in which they are appear in the navigation bar using this move up and the move down arrow. And if you don't need the object in the selected item, you can also remove it with the help of this remove arrow. Basically, here you need to choose up the objects, or you can say a tab that you want to add it to your application. Still now we don't have created any object for this particular app, and I don't have any object for this application that is already created. So I am not going to add any of the available item to the selected item column. I simply click on the next and proceed to the next step. Okay, now here it takes me to the user profile section where I need to specify which user profile can access your custom app in Salesforce. Select the profile from the available profiles column and shift it to the selected profiles column, or a vice versa using this add and remove arrow. Okay, so here you need to choose up the profile. Till now we don't have create up any custom profile, but I want to give access of this application to a system administrator, full-fledged access. So here on the available profile section we have a search box. Here I am typing a system administrator. You can see that I am getting the option. I select this one. Here I get an arrow. This arrow is known as an add arrow. I click on it. You can see that it takes this profile to the selected profile from the available profile column. Once it redirected successfully, I set up the profile settings for the application that I am creating. So once you've done all such things, to finally complete up your process, you simply need to click on the save and the finish option. Once you click on that, it successfully created up a custom app in a Salesforce Lightning with a name. Here you can see that task assignment tracker. So with this, our first step of our project get completed, in which we have successfully created a Salesforce app. Now we will proceed to the next step where we are going to create object and a tab in Salesforce. So let's first understand what does we mean by object and a tab in Salesforce. So in Salesforce, an object is a database table that stores the data related to the specific type of information. Basically, these objects have fields to store individual pieces of data, and they can also have relationship with other objects, or you can say other tables also. So now, if the object is a table in the database, what is tab? So basically, a tab in Salesforce represent the different objects available in app. They provide a way to navigate and interact with data and functionality with the Salesforce object. Now, to access this table, you need some navigation. You can't directly click anywhere on the page. So, the navigation provided with the help of these tabs that take you to this table. So, you have learned that we have created an app that is a database. Inside it we have created a different objects that is a table, and to take up to these objects we have a tab that is the navigation bar for this object. So now let's learn to create up a object with a tab in a Salesforce Lightning. So now to create up a object with a tab, let's open a new setup. You know that to open up the new setup you need to click on the gear icon, and here it has an option of a setup. Basically it doesn't take the page that is open to the back, it opens up the new tab for you with the main home setup in the Lightning interface. It is a very good feature of the Lightning, and it is very easy to handle all the such things in a one go in a Salesforce Lightning. So now you are basically reached up on the main home setup page of a Salesforce Lightning, and we are learning how we can create an object in Salesforce. Okay, so now your first step is to, on a home setup page, you need to click on the object manager option that is located on the top of the navigation bar. Here you can see that this is the object manager option. You need to click on that, and once you click on that it will take you to the page where you will get a list of the object items that are in Salesforce. So in Salesforce basically there are two kinds of object, the custom object and the standard object. Standard objects are those objects that are come pre-built with your Salesforce, okay, and the custom objects are the objects that you want to create up according to your need. So it gives you a list of the object in the object manager that are already created, and now my requirement is to creation up of the new custom object. So for that you need to click on the create drop down that is given on the right side. Once you click on that, it has two options, create a custom object and custom object from spreadsheet. If you want to create 10 to 20 or more than these objects in a one go, you can use the option of a custom object from spreadsheet, but I only need to create up the two objects according to my requirement in the project, so I am simply choosing the custom object option. When I click on that, it's take me to the page where I can set up the new custom object. Now our first section is here, the custom object information. Here we have a field of a label. This label field specifies the name that will appear in the Salesforce user interface for the object. The next we have a plural label. Basically this is the plural form of the object name. The next we have a checkbox that start with a vowel sound. The checkbox refers to an option that determines whether the name used in the label of the object should be an or a based upon the first letter or the sound of your label. Let's understand with the example. For example, your custom object label is a hourly rate. Okay, the system will automatically recognize the hourly as a sound that starts with a vowel because it takes the H silently, okay, and so it should use the label as a an orally label, not a orally label, because H is silent in it. So to taking all such things in a consideration, you can check this checkbox that is a start with a vowel sound. The next we have a object name. This is the API name basically that is used by the developers for the development purpose. It gets filled automatically when you fill up the label field, but if you want to change it, you can change it, and it some has naming convention. The next we have a description. If you want to add a description for this custom object, you can add it. It lets you know the user what this object basically created for. Okay, the next we have two option in the radio button, that is a context sensitivity help sharing. This field allow you to specify whether the standard salesforce.com help and training window should open or a custom visual force page should be displayed when a user click on the help link associated with the object. And by default here, the Salesforce provides a standard help documentation for standard and custom object. So this option is selected. But if you want to create a custom Visual Force page containing your help particulars content, you can choose the option of open a window using a Visual Source page. You can see that when I click on this option, this open a window using a Visual Force page, the field that is a content name get automatically activated. You can see again when I click on the standard one, it is not activated field. When I click on this, it get activated. Okay, this field gets populated only if you choose your custom Visual Force page option, and in this field you need to specify a reference to a particular content resource related to that object. Okay, till now we have only none option, so it is not showing anything. I make this change to a default one, and now I am filling up the label name according to my requirement. So here I am going to firstly create up the label that is a employee. Okay, my requirement is a creation of a two object, employee and the task assignment. Okay, so I am firstly creating up a object that is a employee. So you can see that when I enter the employee, this object name get automatically populated. Now this plural field is important, or you can say a required field. You need to fill it up. Here you simply add s to end of the employees. So it becomes a plural name for the employee. It is a employees field label for my object. Now the rest of the thing is fine. Let's move to the next section, that is enter record name and label and format. Okay, so now let's understand basically what this section does. So here in this section, in record name, you need to enter the field name for the custom object that you want to treat as a primary field, which is used to identify an individual record for that particular object type. It is important to note that when you are referring with the help of a API to this field, this record name field is always referred as a name. Its API is always selected as a name. You name it as an employee name, employee ID, employee date of birth, whatever you want to feed it the record name, you can feed it, but the API name is set as a name only. Okay, the next we have a data type, and this field is used to define which type of record the record name field will contain. Here we have only two options, that is a text and the auto number. You need to fill it up according to your requirement. Now as I am creating the employees object in my Salesforce, my requirement for this record name is the employee ID. I don't want to set it as an employee name. It is automatically populated. You can change it as your requirement. I am changing it to the employee ID. I want to change this data type to the auto number. When I click on this auto number, the two fields get opened automatically, that is a display format and the starting number. So now you need to set up the display format. This display format field is only activated when you set up the data type. Basically is this display format field is allow you to set up the format for the auto number. Like according to the my requirement, I want to set the employee ID as a TS hyphen curly braces, and I pass the 3 zeros and then I close this curly braces, and I set up the starting number as a 1. So whenever I am creating up the record in an employee object, it automatically created up the employee field and it set its number automatically in my specific format, that I set it to the TS hyphen 00 and it start with 1, so it's set to 1. Then the next is TS hyphen 002, the next is TS hyphen 003, and so on. It's going to the up to end where you are creating up the numbers. I hope you have clearly get an idea of the display format and the record name. Moving to the next section, we have a optional features section. If you want to add some extra features, you can select them in an optional feature section, and the following are the features that I let you know what are available. Okay, these are all checkboxes. You can add more than one. The first one is a allow reports. It allow you to include the data from the custom object in the Salesforce report if you check this checkbox. The next is a allow activities. It allow you to track and manage the interactions and follow up related to the record. The third is a track of the field history. It allows you to track the changes to the fields on a record of the custom object over a time. Okay, and the last but the not least, it is a allow in the chatter group. It allows the record to be shared and discussed within the chatter groups in the Salesforce, and this enabling license is not activated field, so we are not going to discussing this. We will move next. If you have any requirement of these kind of a feature, you can set it up, but according to my project there is a no requirement, so leave this thing as it is for the now and move to the object classification section. Now in this section you need to classify the custom object as an enterprise application object. You need to enable the following section, and by default these settings are the selected. The first one is allowing sharing. It allow you to share the records of, of a custom object with the other users or a groups in a Salesforce. The next we have a allow bulk API access. It allow data to be processed in the bulk using the Salesforce bulk API. And the last we have a allow streaming API access. It basically allow you to do the real time data streaming using the Salesforce streaming API, and all such options are already checked, so I am not going to change anything. And moving to the next section, that is the deployment section. Here I have two options, that is in deployment and the deployed. The in deployment means the object is actively being worked or in a modified process within the Salesforce organization, and during this phase changes to the object may be still in a progress, or it may not be available for use by the end user in the production environment. If you don't want to be available for the end user and you are still doing something in this particular object, or this object is in the development phase, you can check this radio button. Otherwise you need to check the deployed radio button. That means that your object is ready and fully deployed and tested, and it is ready to use in the production environment, so you can mark it as a deployed. So my object is successfully ready, so I click on this deployed radio button. Next we have a section of a search status. You need to check this checkbox if you want to enable the object records to be included in the search result when user perform searches within a Salesforce platform. It allows a user to find and assess the records of a specified object type using the global search functionality or a specific research features within the Salesforce. You can see here above we have a search setup. This is the global setup search. If you check this checkbox, it allow you to search all such things regarding to this object in this search setup. Otherwise, if you don't check it, you are not able to search in that. So if you check this, you can get all such things related to it in this global search box. I don't want to do that thing. I remain this checkbox unchecked. The next we have a section of a object creation option. Okay, and here we have a option of a add notes and attachment related list to a default page layout. So by enabling this checkbox, it allow me to automatically add the notes and attachment related list to the default page layout of the newly created custom object. Okay, and the last option we have a launch new custom tab wizard after saving this custom object. Basically, if I enable this checkbox, it will open a new custom tab wizard immediately after saving the custom object, and this custom object wizard guides me through the process of creating a new custom tab for the custom object. It automatically launching the custom tab wizard and allow you to quickly configure how custom object record will be displayed and assessed within the Salesforce. As I told you, we need to create up the tab to navigate to the object. So if you want to create up a tab for the object while creating up the object, you can check this checkbox. Otherwise you need to create up the tab separately for this object. So I am going to create the object with the tab. So I check this checkbox as a launch new custom tab wizard after saving the object. Okay, so in this fully step I am creating a object name as a employee. I set its name to the employee. I set its ruler name to the employees. The object name is automatically filled up with the help of this label. I set this record name to the employee ID. I set its data type to the auto number. I set its display format to the TS hyphen curly braces. I have passed the 3 zeros and then I close the hyphen and starting number set to the 1. Now the rest of the thing is completely same, that is by default, and the last I do one thing, I check this checkbox launch a new custom tab 1 because I want to create a tab for this custom object. So by doing all such things I simply click on the save button. It successfully created up my new custom object with the name employee in Salesforce, and it takes me to the next step of creating a custom tab in Salesforce. Now you need to learn about all such fields in this. So I will explain you. Now the first section is enter the detail section. Here the first field is a object. This field automatically chooses the custom object for which you want to create a new custom tab. So I am continuing the process with the employee object. So it automatically set up this box as an employee. If you want to create up a new custom object, there is a link, you can click on it and create up the new custom object if you want. The next one is a tab style. Here you need to choose up the visual style of your tab and click on the lookup, okay, for it, and it will open up the new window where you can select the tab style. This is the lookup. When I click on it, it open up the new window where I can select up the tab style, and if you don't like these styles, you can also create up your own style by clicking on this create your own style option. The next we have a splash page custom link. Here this is an optional feature. You can choose a custom link that will be shown as a splash page the first time user click on this tab. Okay, by default it is set to none. If you want to set it, you can set it. And the last we have a enter a short description, a description field. In this field you can provide a short description for your custom tab, that why you have created it up, what is its purpose, like that. So now the object is already selected, that is employee. Now my next thing is to setting up its tab style. I click on this lookup. Okay, now I want to create up the tab style for the employee. So here I have a people tab style. So employees are the people. It's set up with my employee object. I check it up. It set up the tab style as a people. Okay, now I click on the next button to proceed to the next step. It takes me to the next step where I need to choose up the profile for which the new custom tab will be available. There are two options to set the tab visibility. The first one is apply one tab visibility to all profile. This option will make the custom tab visible by default to all user profile, and by default this option is selected. You can see that. Okay, and user can access the tab unless it is specially hidden from the profile, and you can see that it is default on. We have other two options, default off and default hide tab. These are the tab visibilities. We'll later on discuss about this thing. Till now you only need to understand, if you want to make the tab visible to the all the profile, this option is checked, and by default it is already checked. But the next option is that you can apply a different tab visibility for each profile, and it is checked if you want to control the tab visibility of the custom tab for each user profile differently. You can make the tab visible or hidden for each profile based upon the specific need and the access requirement. Like if I click on this radio button, I can set up the tab visibility differently for each of the profile. Okay, so we don't need to do all such settings in this moment. So I simply keep this radio button checked to the apply one tab visibility to all profile, and it's set to the default on, and I click on the next button to proceed. When I click on the next, it's take me to the step that is add to a custom apps section, and here you need to choose up the app for which the new custom tab will be available. You can select one or more or all custom app from the list provided. It allows the custom tab to only be available within the selected custom app, and the user accessing the other custom app would not able to see it. By default, you can see that this is selected for all. I don't want to select it for all, so I simply click on the include tab checkbox. I'm not checking it for each of the custom app or uncheck it. I simply click on this include tab option. Now according to my requirement, I want to only available it for the task assignment tracker application. This is my application, the task assignment tracker. I am only going to check this checkbox. I am not checking any of the checkbox else. I am clicking on the save button as I have successfully created up a custom object with the tab in Salesforce, and the name of my custom object is a employee. Now let's take me to the employee object page. You can see on the object manager it takes me to the employee object page that your object is successfully created up in a Salesforce Lightning. So here I have created up the object name as an employee. Now I want one more object with a tab, that is a task assignment. So for creating this up, I again need to follow up the same procedure that I have followed up for the employee object. So let's open up one new more tab by clicking the radio button and setting up the setup option. It's take me to the main home setup page. Once I reached, I click on the object manager, and as I click on the object manager, for creating up the new custom object, you need to click on the create button. Here we have a custom object option. As I want to create it, I click on this and it takes me to the page where I can create up the custom object. Now my requirement is for the task assignment object. So I set its name as a task assignment. Okay, the object name get automatically populated, and for setting up the plural name, I simply copy the label to the plural label and add s to it, and it gets successfully created. You can see that when I move to the enter record name label in the format, the record name is set up to the task assignment name. I don't want it to be the task assignment name. I only want it name as a task assignment. So I erase the assignment from it and I set its name to the task name. Okay. Now to set up the data type, I want it to be the text one. So it is already selected to the text data type. The next, all such things are same. I move to the last section, that is a object creation option. I want to create a tab for it. So I check the radio button, that is a launch new custom tab wizard after saving this custom object. Then we have to click on the save button. I am not explaining all such fields again because I have already explained for the employee object. So that's why I'm directly creating up the object and tab. So here you can see that when we are taking up to the object tab page, here the object name is already selected because we are creating up the tab with the object, and here we need to choose up the tab style. So here I click on the lookup, it open up the new window, and as I am setting up the tab style for the task assignment, I am going to set it as a pencil. So here is a pencil. I click on it, it automatically set the tab style to the pencil. Now I click on the next button, and on the next step I keep these things as it is because I want to apply the tab visibility same on all the profiles. So I don't do any change and click on the next. And as I told you, I only want to make this custom app available for the task assignment only. So here I click on the task assignment tracker application so that this custom object and a tab is only visible to that particular application. So after that I click on the save button, and once I click on the save button, it successfully created up a object name as a task assignment in Salesforce Lightning with a tab task assignment. So with this we have successfully learned up how to create up a object and tab in Salesforce Lightning. So with this our second step also ends here. Now our third step is to add a custom object to a custom application. till now you know that we have created one application and two objects. Now it's time to add these two objects to our custom application. So let's proceed and see how we can do that. So here, firstly you need to be on a main home setup page. Once you are here on the quick find box, you need to search for the apps or an apps manager. Whatever you want, you can search for. Once you search in apps, under this app section, you will get a app manager option. You need to click on that. It will take you to the page where you will get the list of all the applications that are in Salesforce Lightning. Either it is a custom one or a standard one. So here we get all the list of applications. Now it's time to search for the app on which you want to add your object. You all know that we have created an app with the name Task Assignment Tracker. This is our app. You need to take your mouse next to its drop down arrow, and here it gives you an option of edit. You need to click on that. Once you click on that, it will edit your app in a app builder. This is a lightning app builder. You can edit up your app and make the customization changes that you want. So as I told you, I want to add two of the objects that I have created to this application. For that, you need to click on this navigation items located on the left bar of this app setting. When I click on that, it will take me to the page where I need to choose an item, or you can say object or a tab, from the available items and add it into the selected item list. So I have created two applications. The first one is employee, and here in the search bar I search for the employees and it shows me an employee. I select it and then I click on this add arrow. It added this application to the selected application one. Now it's time to search for the next item. So here I search for the task assignment. So when I search, here I get the object. I select that, then I again click on the add arrow and it automatically shifted to the selected item column. So with this, we have successfully transferred our two objects to the selected item column as I want to add it to the custom application that I have created. To finally save up the changes, I click on the save button. So once I click on a save button, this changes get saved. Now you need to click on this back step. So I will show you till now how our projects look. So you are again taken back to the main home setup page, and for this you need to click on the gear icon and then setup. So you know that till now in the first step we have created an application. If you want to see your application where it is created, you need to click on these 9 dots. These 9 dots are known as a app launcher. You need to click on that, and here on the search bar you need to search for your application. So as I have created my application as a task assignment tracker, you can see that it's come under the apps. So here is my application. I will show you how it's look. When I click, it will open up my application. Here it my application. Now I told you I have created the two objects with a tab. So on the above navigation bar where you can see this employees and the task assignment, these are the object, and these things that is visible on the navigation bar, which is employees and the task assignments, are the tab. Okay, so now as I have added in the third step these objects to this application, it get visible to this task assignment tracker app navigation bar. If you doesn't add these object to this specific application, you will not get these object particular to this application. So now we have created an application, we have created an object, and we set it up on the navigation bar and added it to our application also. We have completed these steps. Now it's time to add up the fields to these particular objects. You can see that in the employee object, when I click on new, it shows me there is only one field under this employee object, which is a employee ID. Okay, and if I click on this task assignment object and click on the new, it is consist of only one field, that is the task name, and these fields are those fields that we have created at the moment when we are creating up objects. You remember that we are created up the record fields, so these are two record fields in the employees object as well as in the task assignment object, but these fields are not sufficient for my application. So we will proceed to the fourth step and learn to create up fields in Salesforce. Now, let's first understand what does we mean by a field and its type. So, fields are individual data points within a record, and field types in a Salesforce is define the kind of a data that can be stored in that particular field in a Salesforce object. So, we have two objects. Now, one by one, in each of the object, we will create up the field as per our requirement. So, now my first requirement is a creation of a text field in the employee object. So to create a text field in the employee object, we need to follow some steps. But before we will go and learn to create up the text field, firstly take a quick overview of what is a text field in a Salesforce. So these types of field stores alphanumerical characters such as letters, numbers and symbols. It is commonly used for storing the names, description or any other textual data. So now let's learn to create it. So let's open a new setup page. So I click on a gear icon and click on the setup. Once you reach to the main home setup, you need to click on the object manager. The object manager is located on the top of the navigation bar. I click on this object manager and it will show me the list of all the objects that are in Salesforce. Either it is a custom or a standard. So as I want to create a text field in the employee object, so I need a employee object for this thing. So here we have a quick find box on the right side. Here I am searching for the employees. So when I enter the employees, it show me a employee object. You can see that its label is employee, its API name is employees _C and it is a custom type object. This _C represents that it is a custom object. Now I click on this employee object. When I click on that, it will take me to the page where I will get the details regarding this particular object. On the left sidebar, we have a different options under this object. Now, as I told you, we want to create up a fields in this. So, we need to click on the fields and relationship option given on the second number. When I click on that, it will open up the page that shows me the list of the fields that are already created or built-in created with this employee object on the right side. Now I want to create one more field in it that is of a text type. So I click on the new button that is given on the right side. When I click on that, it will take me to the page where we need to choose up the field type. Here we need to specify the type of information that a custom field will contain, and by selecting the appropriate data type of the field, we need to do that. So as I told you, my requirement is to create a text field type. So here is the list of a data type. I scroll down and here I have a text as an option. Here we have a different text one, but for simply creating a text field, you need to click on the radio button next to the text only. Then you need to click on the next button to proceed to the next step. Now in the next page, we are on the section of enter the detail. So let's first understand the fields that are here on the page. So we have a field label first. So here you need to enter the label you want to display for the field. The next thing we have a length. Here we need to enter the maximum length for the text field. The third is a field name. This field is automatically populated based upon the field label, and you can modify it also if you want. Basically, this field name is the API name which is used for the internal reference and integration purposes. The next we have a description. This field is optional. You can provide a description to explain the purpose of this field. The next we have a help text. It is also an optional field and you can provide the help text that assists the user in understanding how you can use this field. Moving ahead, we have a required checkbox. If you check this checkbox, it makes the field mandatory and ensures that the user must provide a value in order to save the record. Without entering the value in this field, you can't save the record if you check it to required. The next we have a unique checkbox. If you check this checkbox, it ensures that each value entered in the field is unique across all the record. There are two values to treat the record as a case sensitive and case insensitive. Here, if you want to treat capital ABC and the small abc as a duplicate value, it is known as a case insensitive. And if you want to treat capital ABC and the small abc as a different values, it is known as a case sensitive. So you can do this thing by checking up these checkboxes. The next we have a external ID. And if you check this checkbox, it sets the field as a unique record identifier for the external system. Moving ahead, we have a auto add to a custom report type. And by default, this checkbox is already checked. This checkbox basically allows you to add the field to the existing custom report type that contain this entity. And the last we have a default value. This is also an optional process. You need to specify the default value for this field, and if left blank, the field value will be considered as a empty for the default. So according to my requirement, I am creating a employee name as a text field. I hope you remember that we have created up a employee ID as a field while creating up of a employee object. So here I need one more field name as a employee name. So here I enter the field label as a employee name. You can see that when I click on the field name, it get automatically populated. And here we also need to specify the length as it is a mandatory field. So I set it to a 50. The next thing is adding of a description and a help text. These fields are not mandatory and I don't want to add these things, so I remain these things as it is, but I want to make this field as a required. So I check this checkbox, and I also want to make this field as a unique so that the administrator can't able to enter the same persons twice. So I treat ABC and the small abc as a duplicate value and treat it as a case insensitive. So I check this radio button. After that, I click on the save button to proceed to the next step. Now in this next step, we are on the page where we need to establish the field level security. Here on the field level security page, you will see the list of profile and find the specific profile for which you want to configure the field level security. In the row corresponding to that profile, we have to check the visible checkbox to make the field visible to the user within the profile. And you can also check the read only checkbox to make the field read only for users within this profile, and the field will be hidden from all the profile if you don't add it to the field level security. As I have checked the checkbox required while creating this field, it automatically grant visible access to all the profile, and also I am not able to modify it. Even I am not able to grant the read only permission to anyone because I have checked the checkbox of required while creating up this field. So I need to click on the next button and proceed to the next step. As I move to the next one, it take me to the next section where I need to set up the page layout. Here we need to select the page layout that should include this field. The field will be added as the last field in the first two column section of these page layout, and this field will not appear on any page if I don't select the page layout. So here I have only one page layout named as the employee layout and it is already selected. So to complete the process, I click on the save button. Here we have a save and a new button also. In the next step we will learn its functionality, but till now you only need to click on this save button. So here you can see that With this, we have successfully created up one field that is of a text type in an employee object. Here you can see the field is employee name and the field name is a employee underscore name underscore underscore C, and it is a text type field which is a 50 of the length and it is a unique case insensitive. If you want to see how it's look, let's click on the tab where we have already opened up our application with the objects. So here is my employee object. I click on that and click on the new button. So once I click on a new, here you can see that the field is not visible. So we need to refresh this page again. So let's refresh it. So as I refresh this tab, let's see now how the fields appear on this employee object. Now you can see that this is the field which is visible that we have created now, and you can see that it shows a message you need to complete this field because it is a mandatory. So let's cancel out this pop-up and move next and create the another fields that we want in our task assignment object. Now my next requirement is to create a different fields for the task assignment object. So in task assignment object, firstly I need a pick list field. I need two pick list field for storing up the task status and the technologies. So let's firstly understand what does we mean by a pick list field type in Salesforce. So a pick list field provide a predefined list of values from which a user can choose. It is useful for ensuring the data consistency and making the data entry more efficient by limiting the choices to the predefined set. So let's proceed and learn how we can create the pick list field type. So let's firstly understand how we can create a pick list field type that store a task status. So here, firstly you need to click on the object manager that is given on the top of the navigation bar. Once you click on that, it will take you to the page where you will get all the list of objects that are pre-created in Salesforce or the custom one also. So now it's time to choose the object in which you want to create the pick list field type. As our requirement is for the task assignment object, so in the quick find box that is located on the top right side, I am searching for the task assignment. So here I get the task assignment from the search result. I click on that. It will take me to the page that shows me the detail for this task assignment object. Now on the left side bar, I have a option of a fields and relationship to create up the field in this particular object. So I click on that option for fields and relationship. Now it shows me all the fields that are already created in this particular object on the right side. So as we want to create up the new field, so we need to click on the new button that is given on the top. Once I click on this new button, it will take me to the step where I need to choose up the field type. It means we need to specify which type of information we want to store in this custom field type. As I told you, our requirement is to store up the predefined list of value, and it is done with the help of a pick list field type. So we need to search for the pick list field type, or you can say a data type. So here is the pick list one. I click on the radio button next to it, and after that I click on the next button. So it takes me to the next step where we need to enter some details for creating of this field. So let's firstly understand the fields that are given on that page. So firstly we have a field label where we need to enter the label that we want to display for the field. The next we have a values field where we specify the value that we want to available in the pick list field. Here you can see that we have two different options. The first one is a use global pick list value set, and the next is a enter values with each value separated by the new one. So by default it is selected to the use global pick list value set. If you have a predefined set of values in a global pick list value set, you can choose up this option and set up the appropriate value from this none option. Okay, it will show you the list of the global pick list value set if you have any. The next option is a enter value with each value separated by the new line. If you want to define the value directly, you need to select this option. So here you can see that when I check this radio button, it will open up one box where we can define the values by ourselves. Okay, so if you choose this option of entering the values manually, you can see that it will show you the three different options, which is display values alphabetically, not in the order entered. Okay, if you check this checkbox, it shows the value in the alphabetical order that you have entered above in this text box. The next option is the use first value as the default value. If you want to make the first value as the default value, you can check this checkbox. It will automatically set up the first value of entered in this box as a default value. But if you check this checkbox also, display the values alphabetically, it will make the first alphabetical value as the default one. The third option is a restrict pick list to the values defined in the value set. This checkbox is by default selected and to enforce the data integrity with the restricted pick list. This setting set the limits to the field to accept only one value from your pick list even if the field is updated through the API. So this value is by default selected. The next we have a field name. The Salesforce will automatically provided the field name based upon the field label that you have entered, and it is taken it as a API name for your field. The next we have a description. It is an optional field that you have to enter if you want, and it provides a description to give you more information about your field. The next we have a help text. It is also an optional field, and you can add a help text that guides the user on how to use this field. The next we have a required. If you check this checkbox, it wouldn't allow the user to save the record without entering any data to it. It makes the field as a mandatory. The next we have a add to a custom report type as a checkbox, and this checkbox is already checked, and it add this field to existing custom report type that contain this entity automatically. The next we have a default value. If you want to set the default value for the pick list, you can do so. This option basically allow you to use the formula to calculate the default value dynamically based upon your requirement. If you want to create the formula, you need to click on this box given here, and you can enter up your formula as per your requirement. So now my requirement is for creating a task status pick list field. So here I enter the field label as a task status. You can see that when I click anywhere, the task will get automatically filled up based upon the task label. If you want to modify it, you can do that. The next thing is we need to enter up the values that we want to be in the pick list. But I want to enter this value as a manually. So I check the radio button, enter the value with each value separated by the new line. So here I enter the value as a not started. The next I want in progress, and the last I want as a completed. Okay, and I want this value as a separated value. That's why I entered each value in the new line. The next thing, I want to make this field as a required, so I check the required checkbox also. And one more thing, I also want that it take the not started as a default value. So here I check the checkbox, use the first value as a default value also to make the not started value as a default. So after doing such things, I simply click on the next button and proceed to the next step. Now in the next step, we need to establish the field level security. Here we need to select the profiles to which we want to grant the edit access to this field via field level security, and the field will be hidden from all the profile if we do not add it to the field security. And you can check the visible checkbox in corresponding to the profile row to make the field visible to the user with the profile, and the read only checkbox to make the field read only for the user within the profile. But as I have checked the required checkbox, I am not able to grant any visible access and the read only access based upon the particular profile. If we check the required checkbox, it automatically make the visible checkbox automatically check for all the profiles and grant them the visible access to each and every profile, and the read only checkbox is remain unchecked or not checked, as it doesn't give any grant to any profile for making it read only. So after that we simply need to click on the next to proceed to the next step, and here we need to choose up the page layout. Here we choose the page layout where you want to add this pick list. If you do not select the layout, the field will not appear on any page. Here we have only one page layout that is already selected. So we simply need to save this thing to complete our step. So as I told you, in this time we will learn about the save in the new button. So as I want to create one more field in this particular object, that is a task assignment, so I click on the save and new option because I want to save this process and start creating up the new field. So I click on this save and new button. But in the previous case, when we are creating up the fields for the employees object, we are click on the save button because we only want to create one field in it. So we click on the save button to complete the process. But this time I click on the save and new button and it saves my process and take me back to the page where I need to choose up the field type again for creating up the new field. So as I told you, I require two pick lists, one for the task status and the next for the technology. For the task status, we have already created up the pick list. Now we will learn to create it for the technology. So you all know the steps how we create it for the task status. So first one is to choose up the pick list as a data type. I click on the radio button. Then I click on the next button. On the second step, we need to enter up the detail. So firstly, we need to enter up the field label. So as we want for the technology, so we enter the field label as a technology. The field name get automatically populated. We want to enter the value manually. So we click on the enter values with each value separated by the new line. And in this box, we need to enter the values for the technology. For example, here I am enter the value as a Python, SQL Server, MongoDB and many more. So here you can see that I have entered the several values. Some are the programming one, some based upon the database and some are based upon the SharePoint and the cloud one. I also want to make this value displays as a alphabetical one. So I check the checkbox, display the value alphabetically, not in the order that I have entered. So I check this checkbox, and one more thing, I want to make this field also required. So I click on the required checkbox also, and then I click on the next button to proceed to the next step. And you all know that in the third step we need to choose up the field level security and grant the edit access for the particular profiles for this field. But as we have selected the required checkbox, we are not able to do any changes on the visible grant access and the read only access. So we simply click on the next button and proceed to the next step. Now in this next step, we need to choose up the page layout. So here we only have the one page layout that is already selected. So it means this field will be added to that particular page layout, that is a task assignment layout. So we completed our process of creating this field type also. So we click on the save and the new button. Why we click on the save and new button? Because I want to create up more fields in this particular task assignment object. So I click on this save and new button and it takes me back to the page where we need to choose up the field type. And this time we will learn to create the date field type in a task assignment object. But before we will proceed to learn, we will firstly understand what this date field type does. So basically, this date field type creates a field that helps you to store the date values in it without any time. It simply stores the dates. So now we need to search for the date. So here is the date. So I click on the radio button next to the date. We have learned to create a date field type, not a date and time field type. There is a difference between date and date time. if you choose up the date, it will only able to store the dates, but if you choose the date and time, it also allow you to store the time, but we only need to store up the dates. So we select the date as the data type and click on the next button to proceed to the next step. Now in the next step, we are on the enter the details section. Firstly, we will learn about these fields that are given. So let's firstly understand what is a field label. So field label field specifies the name that user will see when they interact with the field in the Salesforce, and the field name, you all know that it is automatically populated based upon the field label, as it specifies the API name for the field. But if you want to modify it, you can modify as per your requirement. The next we have a description. This field specifies the additional information about the purpose of this field. And the next we have a help text. That fields provides a guidance for the user when they interact with the field. It can help the user to understand what kind of a data to input or provide any other relevant information if you want. Okay, so when you keep the hover over the page, it will show you the detail. So next is a required checkbox. If you want to make this field required, so you need to check this checkbox. And the next we have a add auto to custom report type, and you all know that it automatically allow you to add this field to the existing custom report type that includes this particular object. Next is a default value. If you want to set the default value for the particular field so that the user doesn't provide any value, the default value will be used for this field. You can set up here, and you can define the default value in the format of the functions and the formula in this formula editor. So as per my requirement, I need to create up the two date field types, the one for storing the start date and the next for storing the completed date. So this time we are going to create up the start date one. So here I enter the field label as a start date. You can see that the field name is automatically populated. I want to make this as a required, so I check the checkbox of the required, and I also want to set the default value. I want to set the default value that if the user doesn't enter any value in the start date, it automatically set its value to the today dates. Okay, on the date when the user are creating this record, it automatically set the start date to that particular date. So here for creating this thing, we use a today function. So here in this show editor box, we enter the today function. This today function returns the current date according to the organization time zone. So after setting this, you need to click on the next button to proceed to the next step. Now in the next step, you need to choose up the profile to which you want to grant the edit access. But as we have already select the required field type, we are not able to do any changes. So we simply click on the next button and proceed to the next step. Now in this next step, we need to choose the page layout on which this field will be located. So here is only one page layout that is already selected, and this field will be added as the last field in the first two column section of these page layout. But if you customize according to your requirement, then it will appear as per your settings. So I simply click on this save and new button to complete this process of creating this start date field type and start creating up the new field. So here I click on the save and new button. Now it's again take me back to the page where I need to choose up the field type, or you can say a data type. As I told you, I need one more date field type for storing up the completed detail. So I again check the radio button next to the date and click on the next button to proceed to the next step. So this time we enter the field label as a completed date, and you can see that this field name is automatically populated. We don't enter any description and help text, and I don't want to make this field as a required, and I even don't want to add any default value for it. So I simply click on the next button, and it takes me to the step where I need to establish the field label security. Now you can choose the profile to which you want to grant the edit access of this field label security. You will get the matrix that shows your profile associated with your Salesforce org. Here is this matrix. You can set the visibility of a profile on a particular field by checking the checkbox in the visible column, and you can also adjust the read only access for each profile based upon your requirement by checking the checkbox on the read only column. So here some are all already selected and some are unselected. If you want to grant access, you need to check the checkbox for the particular profile, for the particular permission that you want to grant, and if you want to revoke the access, you can uncheck these checkboxes. So after doing such thing, you simply need to click on the next button, but I don't want to do anything, so I simply click on the next button and proceed to the next step. Now in this next step, we need to select up the page layout on which this field will be included, but we have only one page layout that is shown, and you can see that as we don't have selected the required one, this time we are also able to check and uncheck this page layout also. But when we are checking up the required field, we are not able to check and uncheck this page layout also, but we want to include this field on this task assignment layout, so I keep this thing as checked. If you want to do any modification as per your requirement, you can do that and simply click on the save and new button. As I want to create one more field in this task assignment object, so I click on the save and new button. Now after creating such fields, my requirement is to create a text area long field type in this task assignment object. So let's first understand what does field does. So this task area long fields are similar to the text field, but it allow you to enter the longer text input as they store the larger amount of the textual data such as a description and comments. So let's learn how you can create it. So as I told you, we need to create up a text area long field type. So we need to search for the data type. Here it is. We need to click on the radio button. Next to it, we are creating a text area long field type, not any text area rich and text encrypted. So we click on the radio button, click on the next button to proceed to the next step, and in this next step we enter some details. So let's firstly understand what we have to enter. The first is the field label, that is the name that will be displayed for the field on the Salesforce user interface. The next is a length that specify the maximum length of the text that user can enter in this field, and for the text area long, the maximum length is a 131072 characters. And the next is a visible line. It basically allow you to control the height of your text area field on the record page layout by specifying the number of visible lines, and by default its value is selected to the 3. The next we have a field name, that is a API name that is generated by the Salesforce automatically based upon the field label, but if you want to edit it, you can edit it. The next we have a description. The description field allow you to provide a brief description for the field, purpose and usage. The next is the help text. That help text provide you the additional instruction for user who interact with this field on a Salesforce pages. It appears as a tooltip. When a user hover over the field, it shows the instruction on how to use it efficiently. The next we have a add to a custom report type, and this checkbox is already checked for all the field type, and it allows you to automatically add the newly created field to the existing custom report type that include the object to which the field belongs. In the last we have the field value. It allows you to specify the default value for the field, and you can also create a complex formulas using the Salesforce formula editor as a default value. Now as per our requirement, we want to create a comment field as a text area long. So here I enter the field label as a comment. It automatically enter the field name as a comment. I want to set its length to 1000. So here I change it to the 1000, and I want to set the visible line to the 10. So I change the visible lines to 10, and after that I simply click on the next button. There is a no option for making this field as a required, and I also don't want to make that field required. So I click on the next button to proceed to the next step. Now in this next step, we need to establish the field label security, where you select the profile to which you want to grant the edit access of this field via field label security. And for each profile listed below, you need to specify the visibility and the read only permissions for the field. by checking and unchecking the checkboxes given next to the particular field type. So I click on the next button as I don't want to make any change. So as I click on the next button, now the next step is to add the field to a page layout. Here you need to check the box next to each page layout where you want to include the field, and make sure that you select the appropriate page layout based upon the object and your requirement. And by default, as you can see that all the page layouts are selected and the field will be included as the last field in the first two columns of the selected page layout. So here there is only one page layout that is already selected. So we need to complete this process. So we click on the save button. But as I want to create one more field in this task assignment object, so I click on the save and the new button. So once I click on the save and new button, it's take me back to the page where you need to choose a field type. And this time we are going to learn how to create up the lookup relationship field type for this task assignment object. But before we will start the process, we will understand what does we mean by a lookup relationship field type. So this lookup relationship field type creates a relationship between two objects in Salesforce, and it allows a user to link a record from one object to another record in another object. So let's learn to create it. So here I am going to select for the lookup relationship as a data type by checking the radio button next to it, and then I click on the next button to proceed to the next step. So once I proceed to the next step, here we need to enter some details where we need to choose up the related object. Here we need to choose the object to which this object is related from the drop down list, and this object will be set up as a lookup to. So here I want to set this as a employee because I want to relate it to employee. So here I am going to search for the employee, and here is employee object, so I select related to employee. Basically this creates a lookup, and by clicking on that lookup you will get the list of your employees in this task assignment object. As I want to set that the user can select their name from the lookup from the employee list, like for whom it is created up their task assignment, so they can easily select it from the list. So for that we are creating up the lookup field. So as I select it, so I click on the next button to proceed to the next step. Now in this next step we need to enter some details. So let's firstly understand each field. So here we have a field label that enter the name for the field that will display on the Salesforce interface. The field name, you all know, that is the API name of the field, and it is used in the backend when the developer is interfacing this in the code. And the next we have a description. It is an optional field where you can provide additional information about that. And the next we have a help text. This is also additional, and it provides the additional instruction to user when they interact with that field. The next we have a child relationship name. This field is used when creating a relationship from one child object to a parent object. It specifies the name of the relationship from the child perspective. So here it sets to the task assignment automatically, so we don't need to do anything else or change it. Okay, the next we have a required, and this, if you want to make this field as a required, you need to check this checkbox, otherwise you can remain as it is. The next we have what to do if the lookup record is deleted. Like if you want to clear the values for this field, or you can't choose the option. If you make this field as a required, it will automatically get deactivated. Like if I click on this required, you can see that it you can't check this radio button. It automatically set up to don't allow the deletion of the lookup record that is a part of the lookup relationship. Okay, the next we have a add to a custom report type. It is used to specify whether the field is automatically added to the custom report when they are created, and when enabled, this field will be available for use in the custom report type without need of manual addition. And you know that for all the fields that we are creating, this checkbox is already checked. And the next we have a lookup filter. If you want to enter some lookup filter, you can enter it, but we are not going to do anything. So here you can see that the field label and the field name is automatically populated, but I want to change it. I don't want to make this thing as it is. So here I enter the field label as employer ID. So I enter the ID next to it, but you can see that the field name doesn't get changed, but I also want to change it. So I enter the field name as employee ID also. So you all know that if you are entering something in the field name, it has a naming convention. It doesn't take a space. Instead of the space, it takes a underscore. So I write it as a employee underscore ID. Okay, so now it's fine. So I also want to make this field as a required. So I click on the required checkbox and nothing else I have to do on that. So I click on the next button to proceed to the next step. Now in this next step, you need to select up the profile to which you want to grant the edit access. As we have selected the required field type, we are not able to do any changes. So we simply click on the next button and proceed to the next one. And here we need to choose the page layout on which this field is included. But we again selected this required checkbox, so we are not able to uncheck or check this page layout also. So we simply need to click on the next button to proceed to the next step. If you are creating up the lookup relationship field type, it has a 6 step, one more than the other fields that we have already created. So here we need to choose up the add custom related list. So here it specify the title that the related list will have in all of the layout associated with their parent, and it is automatically entered as a task assignment. If you want to change it, you can change it, and you can see that it select the page layout that should include this field, and it will edit as the last two column section of these page layout. And if you not select, it will not appear. And to change the location, you can customize it easily with the help of the page layout, and it will represent it on the page layout as name as employee layout, and it is already selected, and it append the related list to the user existing personal customization also. So all these checkboxes already checked. So we simply click on the save and new button without making any changes to it, because it is perfectly fine. So we click on the save and new button to save this process and start creating up the another field type that we want to create in this task assignment object. And this time we are going to learn how we create a formula field type. So let's take back me to the page where we need to choose up the data type. But firstly, we will understand what does we mean by the formula as a field type. So basically, this formula fields calculates a value based upon the specified criteria or a calculation. They can be used to perform calculation based upon the other field value and the display calculated result or automate the certain processes. So let's learn how we can create it. So as I told you, our requirement is to create a formula field type. So I click on the radio button next to the formula field type and click on the next button. But why we need to create a formula field type in this time? As my requirement is to automatically fetch up the employee name based upon the employee ID selected through the lookup. For that reason, I am creating up the formula, as I want if the employee ID selected as a TS001, the employee name get automatically showed. So for this we need to create up the formula, and we are creating it with the help of a formula field. So let's firstly understand what does we mean by the field label and the field name and the formula return type. So we are on the step second where we need to choose up the output type. So firstly we need to enter the field label, that is the name that you want to display for the field, and afterward you need to click on the field name, that is API name. You all know that, and it gets automatically populated based upon the field label that you have entered. But if you want to change it, you can change it. The next is a add to a custom report type, and this checkbox is already selected for all the field types that we are creating, as it specify whether this field is automatically added to the custom report type that you are created or not. And thus by scrolling down we need to choose up the formula return type, and here the different formula return types are given. You need to choose any of the one as per your requirement as the formula return type. So as I told you, I want to create the formula for getting up the employee name automatically. So I enter the employee label as employee name, and you can see that the name is automatically selected. Now the employee name field gives what kind of the result? Is this give the checkbox? No, it's not possible. It gives the currency? No, it's not possible. Is employee name is a date or date time? No. It is a number or a person? No. Is it a text? Yes, the employee name is a text, so it returns the result in the text format. So we simply click on the radio button that is given next to the text and click on the next button to proceed to the next step. So now in this next step we need to create up the formula. So here we need to click on the advanced formula first to create up the advanced formulas. If you want to include some functions or operators or different fields, you can click on this advanced formula tab. If you want to create a simple formula that only needs the field type, you can create it with the simple formula, but as I want to create the advanced one, so I check the tab first. After that, we see that on the right side we have a function section. We need to move to the function section. Here we have all function categories. Here we have different categories as a date and time, logic, math, text and advanced. You can choose any of one as per your requirement. If you choose any, next you search for the function given under this particular section, and once you click on the function, it gives you a box as a insert selected function, and you need to click on this button if you want to enter this function to this text box. And it will also give the insert fields from where you can enter up the fields that you want to enter in your formula as a parameter. Or if you want to enter some operator like plus, minus, multiply, divide, you can also enter it with help of this insert operator. Moving ahead, we have a check syntax button. If this button determines whether the formula is error free or include any error. So after inputting your formula, you need to click on this button to check that is there any error in it or not. Or if it is an error, it gives you an error message, you can solve it and do the correction needfully. Otherwise it will give you a message like there is no error. The next we have a description and a help text. So here on the description and help text, both are the optional fields, and in description you can add the additional information about the field, and in the help text you can provide the additional instruction for the user when they interact with the field. Moving ahead, we have a blank field handling, and if the formula reference to any number, currency or percent field, then this become in a use, but we don't have any number, currency and percent field in regarding to it, but we'll learn what is it. It basically specify what happened to the formula output when their values are blank. We have two option it, that is a treat the blank value as a 0 or treat the blank value as a blank, and by default it is selected to the 0 1. So here we need to enter up the formula first. So let's enter the formula that automatically fetches the employee name when we select up the lookup. So here I want to create the formula. So firstly I need a if statement, and our if statement is a logical one, so I select the category as a logic. Here is the if, I select it and then click on the insert selected function. Now we need to replace its parameters, so I erase all its parameter. It takes the three parameter as a logical text value, and what to do if the value is true and what to do if value is false. Okay, it basically check whether condition is true and returns a value uh, as a first value if the value or a condition is true, and return the another value if the condition is false. So okay, now I am erasing this parameter and creating as per my requirement. So here I need one more function, that is blank. So I click on this is blank function. It is also a logical function. So I after that click on the insert selected function. It enter the function. It check whether expression is a blank and return true if it is, and otherwise it returns a false. So I again erase it parameter because I want to check that is the employee ID field that we have created by the lookup, is it blank or not. Okay, so for that here I create up the formula if check is this blank or not. So for this I use a if and is blank function, and here I enter the employee ID as a field. So if you enter it manually, maybe you do some mistake and it raise a error. So we click on the insert field button, and from here we need to click on the employee ID. Here is the employee ID. I click on this and it gives me a button of insert. I click on that and it enters the employee ID. Okay, now so it is if is a function, then expression checks is employee ID is blank or not. If it is, then you can give a blank string. You don't know need to do anything. Okay, the next formula, what if it is not blank? If it is not blank, then you need to fetch out the employee name for this particular employee ID. For that you need to click on this insert field, and from here you can see that we have an employee ID. In task management we have an employee ID with this arrow next to it. Okay, I click on this arrow. Basically it indicates that there are more fields available for this particular thing, and here I click on a employee name. So it refer as a employee underscore id underscore underscore r dot employee underscore name underscore underscore c. Here the double underscore r refers to a reference of object. It is a relationship object. It refers that it is showing a relationship between two objects, and it is mostly show you the parent child relationship as a relationship, and it used in the lookup relationship to show that it is a lookup kind of relationship that we are fetching it out. So we are fetching the employee name, and double underscore c represent it is a currently custom object. Okay, so I click on insert button, and here I create up my formula. I click on the check syntax button to check that there is a no syntax error. After that I click on the next button to proceed to the next step, and on this next step we have to establish the field level security, and here we need to select the profile to which you want to grant the edit access to this particular field, and the field will be hidden from all the profiles if you don't want to add it to the field level security. Here we have two types of access, like a visible and the read only. You can edit as per your recording. You can see that this read only access is not able to edit, so you can only able to edit this visible access. So you can simply edit it by checking and unchecking your checkboxes as per your requirement. I am not doing anything as I don't want to change, so I simply click on the next button and proceed to the next step. And in this next step you have to decide on which page layout this field will be included. There is only one page layout that is showing, and it is already checked. If you want to uncheck it, you can uncheck it, but if you uncheck this page layout, the field will not appear on that particular page, and this field will be added as the last field in the first two column section of these page layout. After that you need to click on the save button to complete the process. As I don't want to create any more fields, so I click on the save button, and in the rest of the cases we are clicking on the save and the new button, because we are creating up more fields in this particular object, that is a task assignment. But in this case this is the last field that I want to create under this object, so I close this process by simply clicking on the save button. So the difference between save and new and save is that if you want to create more field in the particular object, you can go with the save and new button, but if you want to create only one field and complete the process by saving it, you need to simply click on the save button. And if you click on the save and new button, it will relocate you to the page where you need to choose up the field type for the specifying which custom type of a field you want to create. But if you click on the save button, it redirects you to the page where you will get the list of all the fields and relationship that are in a particular object. In my case it is a task assignment. Now let's see how it shows all the fields in the task assignment object. So let's open one more setup. So here I click on the gear icon, and here we have a setup option. I click on that, it open up one new tab, and it's take us to the main home setup page of a Salesforce Lightning interface. And here on the left side on the top we have a 9 dots. This is the app launcher. We can click on this app launcher, and there are two way to check it. Either you can directly search for your object that you have created, like a task assignment, or you can go up with your application and do the needful. So here I am opening my application. Like here I type as a task assignment tracker, it shows me my application. I click on this particular application, it takes me to that application, and once it reaches to the application, it shows that there are only two objects in it, and on the navigation bar it creates a tab for that, and we are going to check it how it's look for the task assignment. So we need to simply click on the task assignment, and it will open up the page. And to view its fields we need to create a new record for that, and to creating a new record we have a new button given in it. So here on the right top we have a new button. So once you click on that, it will take you to the page where you can see the new task assignment pop up, and it gives you all the fields that are under this. task assignment object. You can see that it has a one field that is a task name that we have created as a text type. It has one tick list field that is a task stated. It set up the first value as a not started because we have stated as a not started, or a first value as the default one. The next we have a technology that shows us the different technology, and you can see that it shows a list of all the technologies here. Okay, and the next we have a start date, and that is automatically set up to the today date. And the next we have a completed date, and the next we have a comment, and here we have a lookup for the employee id. So this is the thing that we have created till now by creating up the different fields in that particular object, that is a task assignment object. So with this we have completed one more step of our application, and now we will proceed to the next step of our application. Now in the next step we will learn to create a validation rule. We have a requirement in the task assignment tracker application for the task assignment object. Like we want that if a task status is set to be completed, it is necessary to fill up the completed detail. So whenever employee set its task status to the completed, it must be that employee fill the completed detail, otherwise the validation rule raise an error and stop the employee to save their record. So before we will learn this procedure to create it, we will understand what does validation rule is. So a validation rule in Salesforce define a criteria that record must be meet to save or update. If the record fails to meet the criteria, the Salesforce display an error message and prevents the user from saving the record. Now let's proceed and discuss how we can create it as per our requirement in the project. Now we are on the main setup page of the Lightning interface, and here you need to click on the object manager first to move to the object list. So here the object manager is located on the top of the navigation bar. You need to click on that and it will show you the list of the objects that are in Salesforce. Now it's time to decide the object on which you want to apply the validation rule. So as I told you, our requirement to apply the validation rule is on the task assignment object. So on the right side we have a quick find box, and here we are going to search for that particular object, that is task assignment. So here I search for the object, I click on that. Once I find, and it will take me to the page where it gives me all the option regarding this task assignment object. Okay, this is the object manager for the task assignment object. Now on the left side bar we have a validation rules option. We need to click on that if we want to create a validation rule. Once you click on that, it will open the validation rules on the right side. If you have already created a validation rules in that particular object, it will show you the list of them. If you don't have any, it will show you the blank page, and to create up a new, it gives you a new button on the right top. You need to click on this new button and it will take you to the page where you can create up the validation rule in the task assignment. So before we will learn to create it, we will side by side discuss it each of the fields so you understand why we are putting such things in that particular field. So in the validation rule edit section, we first have a rule name. This rule name field is the field where we enter the name that we want to give to our validation rule. The next we have a active checkbox. This is the checkbox that determines whether the validation rule is active or inactive. If the checkbox is checked, the rule is active and will be enforced when its conditions are met. If it is unchecked, the rule is inactive and would not be enforced, allowing data to be saved without any validation rule. Okay, so for example, if I am creating the validation rule like that, the task status if set to a completed, the completed detail must be filled. If I uncheck this active checkbox, it will not trigger this validation rule and allow the user to save the record without filling up the completion detail also if they task status set to the completed. So the next is a description. Here you need to enter up the description and explain about your validation rule. It is helpful to include the information such as the criteria that trigger the rule. Okay, you can enter it up your criteria here. So let's enter the rule name first as per our requirement. So as I want to create the validation rule that check that completed date is required for the completed task. So here I set it as a completed date required completed status. Okay, and the active checkbox is checked because I want to make this validation rule active. Now in the next section we have a error condition formula section. Here we need to define the criteria that must be met for the validation rule to work. You can create it with the help of a formula using the formula editor. To enter up the formula, you need to click on the all function categories that is given on the right side. In here, when you choose up, it gives you different categories, and according to your function requirement, you need to choose up the category. After choosing the category, it will show you the function that resides in the particular category, and you have to choose the function that you want. Once you select the function, it will gives you the insert selected function button, and to insert it on the formula editor box, you need to click on that, and it enters the function successfully to that box. To add the fields, you need to click on this insert field button. It shows you all the fields regarding this task assignment, and you have to select the field and click on the insert button option to add it. You can also add the operators if you want, like plus, minus, multiply, divide, exponent, and many other also. Even you can add the open parenthesis and the close parenthesis with the help of these operator button. So now after that we have a check syntax button that determines whether this formula is error free or not, or include any error. You need to click on that to validate your formula. If there is any error, it will gives you the error message, and according to your error message you have to resolve your error and fix it up. And after fixing it up, you again need to click on the check syntax, and till it gives you the success message, you have to rectify your formula. Now as per my requirement, I want to create a condition that checks that if the task status pick list field is set to the completed date field is must be filled up. Okay, so before I create the formula, let's enter the description also, so we don't get confused why we create up this validation rule. So here I enter as a rule trigger when task status is set to completed and the completed detail is not filled. So on that cases only this validation rule trigger up. Now I create a formula for it. So here I firstly need a AND function because I want to check two conditions. So for that reason I click the function category. This AND is a part of the logical category, so I click on that, and here I get the AND function. I select it and click on the insert selected function. With this AND function checks whether all the arguments are true and return true if all the arguments are true. So here we pass the different logical statements. Now I erase these parameters and set it according to my formula. So firstly I need to check that the task status is completed or not. For that we have one function, that is pick value function, and this is pick value function is part of the text function. So I select the text category, and here I get a is pick value function. I click on that and insert it on the formula data. Basically this is pick value takes two parameter, and it's check whether the value of a pick list field is equal to the string that we have passed or not. So first parameter, you need to pass a pick list field that you want to check. So as I told you, we have a pick list field name as a task status. So I erase it and insert it with the help of a field as a task status. So here is the task status. I select it and insert it. It automatically adds here. Now we have to pass the literal to which we want to match it. So we want to check it is set to the completed or not. So here we have to pass a string as a completed by enclosed in the quotation marks. So here I set it. Now to create up the second logical condition, I need a is blank function because I want to check whether the completed detail is blank or not. So we have one of the is blank function for that. It is the part of the logical category. I click on the logical category, and here we have a is blank function. I select it and insert it. This is blank function check whether expression is blank and return true or false for it as per the result. So if it is blank, it return the true. So I change the expression with the field that is a completed detail. So here I click on the insert field again and search for the completed detail. Here is my field. I click on that and insert it. Once I insert it, it completes up my formula. Here we are generally using a AND statement that works for these two conditions to be true. In first condition, we are checking that the task status picklist is set to be completed or not. If it is, it moves to the second condition and check it. And in the second condition, we are checking that completed detail field is blank or not. Okay, if it is blank, it gives the result as a true. This function only works when both the condition true because we are using the AND function. Now I click on the check syntax. It shows that one parenthesis is missing in it. So to debug this error, we have to follow this error message and do the needful. So here you can see that here I open one parenthesis, then I open second parenthesis, and then I close the only one parenthesis. There are two options that we have to close the first open parenthesis, or we can put the comma because we want to include in the AND operator, because this thing, these two functions are part of the AND part, so we have to pass a comma for it. So here I enter a comma. This is the first logical condition and this is the second logical condition, and here we close the AND parenthesis. Now the function is correct. I again click on the check syntax to check whether it is correct or not. You can see that there is a no error found. It means the function is correctly entered. Now in the third section, we have a error message. We have to enter a clear and informative error message that will be displayed to the user when the validation rule is violated in the error message field. And the next we have a error location field where we want to display this error message. Here we have a two options to display it. The first one is we want to display the error message on the top of the page, and the next is we want to display the error message on the field. And if we choose the top of the field, says that display your error message next to the field the user should correct. If you validate the rule check several fields, display error message at the top of the field. For example, if you have set this enter location to the field but we have more than one error, then at that moment it will not print it on the field, it will print on the top of the page. Now let's enter the error message as per our requirement. So I want to enter the error message as a please provide a completed date when the status is set to completed. Okay. So here I enter my error message. I want to print it on the top of the page. So I select this radio button, and after completing my all such things, I click on the save button to complete the process. So with this, it successfully created upper validation rule in the task assignment object. So let's see how it's work. For this, let's open a new setup. I click on the gear icon and here I choose the setup option. It will open up one new tab, and once we redirect to the main setup page of the lightning interface, here we have a 9-dots app launcher. I am going to open my application by typing the task assignment tracker in the search bar. It gives me a application. I open it. Once it take me to the application, here I have a task assignment navigation. To open the task assignment object, I click on that, and now we are going to create up a record. So if you don't know what record is, so let's understand it. So in Salesforce, the record refers to a single instance of a data within an object, and each record represents a specific entry within the Salesforce database. So to create up the record, we have a new button. I click on that new button. It's open up the pop-up for the new task assignment. I am just showing you one example like how this validation rule is working. So for example, here we have a task name as a bulk email system The task status I set to completed. Technology I set it as a PHP, and it's automatically fetch out the start date upon the today's date. I don't fill up this completed detail. I'll leave this thing a blank. Here we have a comment box. This is not mandatory. I also leave it blank. And here we have a employee ID. So we don't have any employee till now. So it's asking to create a new employee. So I click on the save button to see how it's work. It gives the first error message that you have to choose the employee ID first. So for that we firstly need to create up the employee ID. So here I'm going to create the employee ID. I am only able to do that things because I am logging with the administrator account. I am able to do all such thing. So, and you are also able to do all such thing because you are also working with me on the administrator. So here I enter the name as a Jack Smith and click on the save. It creates up a new employee, and it automatically, you can see that, fill up the employee ID here as a TS-001. Now I try to click on the save, and you can see that it gives the error message. Please provide a completed detail when the status is set to be completed. Because here I set the task status as a completed, but I am not filling a completed date. It is not allowing me to save the record because of that validation rule that we have created. So I hope you understand how this validation rule works. So let's cancel it out and move to our next step and learn to create up the record type in this task assignment object. So before I will let you know what is a record type, I want to show you one thing. When I am creating up a new record, and here is the technology field list, it is showing me all the technologies in this pick list. So like Java, Microsoft, MongoDB, like it is showing me the programming one, it's showing me the cloud one, it is showing me the database also, and it is also showing me some other technologies that I have entered in this pick list. Okay, now I want that to differentiate these things. Like I want that I only get the database values for the employee who is working for the database. I only want to get the programming technologies for the employee who is working for the programming one. So to create that we need a record type. So let's move and firstly understand what does we mean by the record type. So record type allow you to offer a different business processes, pick list values and a page layout to the different user based upon their profile. As I told you, my requirement is, and they enable you to implement a different set of a behavior and a data for a different use cases within the same object. Now let's move and learn to create up the record type in Salesforce Lightning as per requirement of our application. So as I clarify my requirement, so we open up one new setup page. For that I click on the gear icon, click on the setup option. It will open up the new lightning setup page for us, and here on the top of the navigation bar we have a object manager. You need to click on that because we firstly have to choose the object on which we want to set up the record type. So here we are going to set it for the task assignment because our technology pick list is reside on the task assignment and we want to work on that. So here I click on that object manager. It takes me to the page. Now on the quick find box we need to search for the task assignment object. Here it is. I click on that. It takes us to the object manager page of the task assignment where we will get all the option for this task assignment object. Now to create up the record types, on the left side you can see that we have a record types option. You need to click on that and it open up the page on the right side that shows you all the record types that are created already, but till now we don't have any. To create up the new record type you have a new button for that, and to start up the process you need to click on this new button. As I click, and it's take me to the page to create the record type, and here we have a first step of the enter the detail. So here we have some fields. So let's firstly understand. Here we have an existing record type, and this drop down allow you to select an existing record type from which you want to inherit the pick list value. If you want the new record type to have the same pick list value as an existing one, you can choose it there, but by default it is set to the master. So I don't want to inherit from other record type, so I want it to be a master, so I leave this thing as a master only, and this is my first record type, so it don't show me any other option instead of the master. The next thing is to we have to enter the record type label. The field display the name of the record type that user will see in the Salesforce interface. Next we have a record type name. This field specify the unique identifier for the record type that used in the Salesforce API. And next we have a description. It is the optional field that provide a brief description that explain the purpose of the new record. And the next we have a active as a checkbox. It determines whether the record type is active or not. Make sure that you check this checkbox if you want to make this record type in a working condition, otherwise it will not work. If you want to stop working it, you can uncheck it any moment. And once you scroll down, it gives you a profile setting, and for each profile listed you can decide whether to make this record type available and or default for a users signed to that profile. And by making it available, it allows a user to create a record type or a clone a record for this type, or assign this record type to an existing record. And if you make it default, means that it will be automatically selected when the user create a new record, unless they manually choose any record type. And here we have two options of make available and the make default. For make available checkbox, you need to check it if you want that the user assigned to a particular profile have to access this record type. And for the make default, you need to check this checkbox if you want this record type to be default for the user assigned to the particular profile. And after doing such, you need to click on the next button. So according to my requirement, I want to create different record types. Basically I need 4 record types in our application, so let's create the first one. So I first need for the cloud as a technology. So here I type the cloud, and the name is automatically populated because of the API name, and it is fetched upon the label. I don't want to add any description, I want to make it active. And for the make available checkbox, I check the checkboxes to the respective profile to whom I want to make this record page visible. So by default it is checked for all, so I keep this thing as it is. Now I click on the next button and proceed to the next step, that is a assign page layout. And here we have a two option. The first option is apply one layout to all profile, and this option allow you to select a single page layout that will be used for all the profile. And if you choose to apply one layout to all the profile, select the desired page layout from the drop down menu. Here it is given. Okay, we have only one, so it is showing the one. If you have more than that, it will show you the list of it. The next we have apply to a different layout for each profile, and this option allow you to assign a different page layout for each profile. And if you choose to apply a different layout for each profile, you will see a table where you need to select the appropriate page layout for each of the profile listed. Here you can see that this is the table. If I select that, it will allow me to change the particular page layout for the respective profile. And after that you need to click on the save button if you want to save it, and if you want to create any more, you can click on the save and the new. As per our application, I want to set it to the apply one layout to all profile, and set its value to the task assignment layout that is already selected. So I simply click on the save button. I want to create many more, but I will not go with the save in new option because I want to add the pick list field to that particular page layout. Now after saving it, it will take you to the page where you will get a section of a pick list available for editing. It gives you a pick list fields associated with the object for which you are creating a record type, and it determines which pick list you want to modify for your new record type. And for modifying it, you need to click on the edit action to modify that particular pick list. So as we are working up with the task assignment object, we have two pick list in these things, and with one is the task status and another is the task technology. But as I told you, our requirement in the application is that we want to create a different record types for the technologies. Like we want that all the programming technologies come under programming record type, all the cloud based technologies come under cloud record type, and so on. So we will work on the technology one. So I click on the edit button next to the technology, and it will take you to the pick list value page. From the list of available values, select the item that you want to include as a pick list value for this record type, and click on the add arrow, or you can say a button, to move these selected values to the selected value list. And if there are any value in the selected value list that you want to remove it, you can also remove it with the help of the remove button. And here we have also a default option. If you want to designate a default pick list value for this particular record type, you can select it from here. So as we have created up the record type as a cloud for this time, so we only need the values that reside under this cloud technology. So there are only two values in all the values that reside under this cloud, that is a Microsoft Dynamic and the Salesforce. So I select all the rest of the values that are not under this cloud technology by clicking the mouse and using the control key of your keyboard, and click on this remove arrow, and it will automatically shift it to the available values. Now in the selected values, we have only two values for the pick list, that is a Microsoft Dynamic and the Salesforce. I complete my requirement that I want to do with my this record type page, that is a cloud. So I simply click on the save. So it create up a record type for me, that is a cloud, and I also set the pick list for this record type. Now I want to create more, so I again click on this record type that is given on the left, and it will take me back to this record type page. And now you can see that it shows that we have one record type, that is a cloud, and it is active one. So I again click on the new button, and once I click on the new, it will take me back to the page where we have to enter up the details. I am not going to explain you each field again, because I have already explained you. And here you can see that now this time in the existing record type you will get the cloud as a record type, because we have created it. But I want to make it master in that case also, and I set the record type label as a programming, and it automatically sets the name for it as a programming. I want to make it active, so I check this checkbox, and after that, in the profile section, we have a make available thing. I want to make it available for all the profiles, so I simply click on the make available checkbox that is given. Instead of checking one by one, I simply click on the make available one. Okay, then I click on the next button to proceed to the next step, and in the next step we need to assign the page layout. I want to assign the page layout as a apply one layout to all profiles, which is already selected, and it has a task assignment layout. It is also fine, so I simply click on the save button to save it, and it will take me to the section of the page where I get the pick list available for editing. Here it is. So as we are working on the technology, I edit the technology one, and it take me to the page where we have to select up the pick list things that we want to in this particular pick list field type, that is technology, we have to choose the pick list values. I want to include the Python, Java and PHP under this programming technology. So I select the rest of them again by using the mouse and the control key. So here it is. So only 3 are left. I remove it with the help of a remove key and click on the save. And once I click on a save, it successfully saved up record type that named as a programming this time. Now I want to create one more, so I again click on the record types and again click on the new button given on the top, and this time I enter the name of my record type as a database, but here I again selecting up the master as a existing record type. So here database spelling is wrongly mentioned, so I rectify it, and here I check the active checkbox, and after that I want to make it available to all the profiles, so I click the make available checkbox also to make the available to all. Then I click on the next button to proceed to the next step, and here I choose the apply to one layout to all profile and set the layout as a task assignment layout, that is already selected here. So I click on the save button, and it will take me to the page where we have to choose the pick list available for editing. We are working on technology. I click on the edit option next to the technology. Now this time we are working for the database, and for database I have two pick list values, that are the SQL Server and MongoDB. So I select rest of them. Here I selected, and I use the remove button to remove it to the available values. Now in selected values we have only two pick list value, that is MongoDB and SQL Server. So I click on the save button. So it successfully saved up one more record type, that is a database. Now I want to create one more record type, and this one is a last record type and our application. So I click on the new button again, and this time we want to create it for the SharePoint technology, and here I am entering it, and it automatically fetch the record type name. I want to make it active. I check the active checkbox. I want to make available to all the profile. So I check the make available checkbox and click on the next, and once I click on next, it take me to the page where we have to assign the page layout, and I want to apply one layout to all profile, and the layout name is a task assignment layout. I simply click on a save by doing such things, and it will take me to the page where we have to choose up the pick list. I am working for the technology. I edit the technology one, and from here we have to choose the pick list value that I want to include in this SharePoint. I want to include Power BI, Power Apps and Power Automate in this technology. So I selected rest of them and shifted to the available value side by using the remove button, and only selected values. I have three values for pick list, that is a Power App, Power Automate and Power BI. And I simply click on the save button to complete the process, and with this we have completed our requirement for this application, as I want to create up the four field types because we have a working on the four different technologies. So it successfully create up these things. So now let's see how it's looking. So now open your tab where you have already opened up your application. So here is my tab. Now I click on new. You can see that it shows you this pop-up like a new task assignment. Now it asks you to select a record type, which record type you are working. You are working on a cloud, you are working on a database, you are working on a programming, or you want to work for the SharePoint. So if I select the cloud and click on the next, it will gives me the technology list only for the cloud. Here is the technology. Now you can see that it only shows me a two pick list value, that is Microsoft Dynamic and the Salesforce. Let's see for the another case. Again click on the new, and this time we are check for the programming. So when I select the programming and click on the next, it shows me technologies that are Java, PHP and Python. So with this we have successfully created up the record type for our application task assignment tracker. So now we will move to our next step of our application, and This time we are going to customize the page layout. So here you can see that when I click on the new and move to this information page where you will get the fields, these fields are not properly located. I don't like the location of these fields. Like you can see that here we have two section and all, I get all the fields in one section. I don't like that thing, so I want to customize it according to my preference. So let's learn how we can do that. So let's cancel it out and move to the next step, that is customization of a page layout. But firstly we have to understand what does we mean by the page layout in Salesforce. So the page layout determines how the information is displayed and arranged for the user. A page layout in Salesforce control the layout and the organization of a fields, button and the related list on the record detail page. So let's learn to customize it in our application. So to do that, let's open one more setup. I click on the gear icon, click on the setup. It opens up one setup page for me, and it will take me to the main home setup page. And on the top of the navigation I have a object manager option. I click on that, and we have to choose up the object on which we want to customize the page layout, and we want to change it for the task assignment. So I search for the task assignment in the quick find that is given on the right. So here I type the task assignment, I get it, I click on that, and it will take me to the object manager page of the task assignment object. And it's on the left side giving me a different options, and here we have a page layout option. I click on that. So here you can see that it gives me on the right side the page layout that are already in this task assignment object. We have by default one page layout, that is a task assignment layout, and I don't want to create any new page layout. I only want to edit this one. So I click on the arrow that is given next to it, and from here drop down I get the edit option. I click on that, and it will take me to the page where we can edit or customize this task assignment layout page. And here you can see that we have a task assignment detail section. When you scroll down you will get this section. So once you are on the layout editor page, you will see the representation of the layout with the various field related list in the sections. And here I want to rearrange the field simply by dragging and dropping them into the desired location. And once I do that, we simply need to click on the save button to save the procedure. You can see that here in the task assignment detail section, it gives all the fields on the one side, that is left side of the section. I want to rearrange it, so let's rearrange it. For rearranging it, as I told you, we have to only drag and drop. So firstly I want to show the employee ID. I take this to the first field. Next I want to show the employee name next to it on the right side. After that I want that the employee enter the task name, so it is on its location. That's I Next I want that the employee set up the task status, so I take it to the second field on the right side of a section. The third is the technology, in which technology it is belong, it is fine. The next I want to move the start date as a third field in the second section, so it is here. Next is a completed detail, it is already so fine. And I want to move the comment on this right side as a fourth field, and I want to shift this honor to the left side of the page layout. And now it's look as a employee ID on the left side, then on the right side it shows employee name, and so on, as I have selected here. So now I have set up the page layout, so I simply click on the save button that is given on the left on the box. So I click on a save. It takes some time and save it, and takes you back to the page of your object manager page layout. Now let's see how it's look. So let's move back to your tab where you have opened up your application. So here is my tab. Now I click on the new button in the task assignment object, and choose up any record type, and click on the next. And now you can see that it doesn't show any change. To show the changes you need to refresh your page. So let's refresh it. Now let's again click on the new, and here select the record type and click next. You can see that how it's look. It shows me a employee ID, then the task status, task name, start date, technology, comment, completed detail, and the owner. So maybe you get confused that where the employee name goes, because the employee name field is the formula based, it will not be shown here. So when you create any record and save it, it will give you the employee name next to this employee ID. I will show you that. I have create one record, so I click on that record, and once I click on that, it will move to the detail section. Now you can see that it gives the employee ID, employee name, task name, task status, technology, start date, completed detail, comment, and the owner, and who is created it, and what are the last modified by. So here this task is not started, so the completed detail is not mandatory to fill, and the comment field is not mandatory to fill because it is not set as a required one. So with this we have completed our this step also of creating a page layout. Now let's move to the next step, that is how we can create a profile. So before we will proceed to learn how we can create a profile for our application, let's first understand what does we mean by profile in Salesforce. So the profile in Salesforce is defined as a set of permissions and setting that determine what user can do within an application, such as like what kind of object they can access, what actions they can perform, whose record they can share, what fields are visible to them, etc. So let's learn to create a profile in our application. Now to create up your profile, you must be on your setup homepage. Once you are on that homepage, you need to go to the quick find box that is given on the left side, and here you need to search for the profiles. So once you type here the profiles, it will give you the profiles option under this users expand drop down, and you need to click on this profiles to start creating the process of profiles in a Salesforce Lightning. Once you will click on that, it will take you to the page where you will get the list of all the profiles that are already built in Salesforce. Now we want to create up a new profile as per our application requirement, and for that we click on this new profile button that is given on the top. Once you click on that, it will take you to the page where you need to select the existing profile to clone it. Okay, so in Salesforce we are basically creating up the new profile on the basis of the already created of profiles. It will allow us to clone the existing things that are pre-existed under the already created profiles, and we can customize it according to our requirement later on. So here we have a field of existing profile. It offers a various predefined profiles type, and we have to select the appropriate profile type based upon the permission and access level we want to assign to the user of our profile. So you can see that here we have a multiple existing profiles, and next we have a user license. It get automatically populated based upon the profile selected, and then we have a profile name. Here you need to enter up the name for your profile that is visible to the user of your Salesforce. So as per our application requirement, we need to create a profile that is a prime job employees task tracker. I want to name it as, and I want to clone the standard user profile for it. So I click on this existing profile drop down, and from here I search for the standard user. Here I click on that. It automatically set up its user license to a Salesforce, and to enter up the profile name, I enter as a prime job employee task tracker. So this is the name of my profile that I have created. So after filling up all such detail, you simply need to click on the save button, and once you click on a save, it successfully created up a new profile in Salesforce Lightning. So with this we have end our this step, and now we will proceed to the next step, that is creation of a roles in Salesforce. So let's firstly understand what does we mean by the roles. So roles in a Salesforce define the hierarchy of a users within an organization, and they are used within the sharing rules to determine the access to the record by that particular user. So let's proceed and learn to create up the roles for the application. So to create up the role, we need to go to the main home setup page first. So that's why I click on the gear icon, and it's take us to the main home setup. If we click on this setup option, it open up one new tab, and once you reach there, on the quick find box that is located on the left side, you need to search for the roles in it, and once you search it, it will find out the result and give you the result according to your search result. And here you will get this roles option under the users section, so click on that roles. It will take you to the page where you can set up your role hierarchy. Here on the downwards we have one box that is a setup for the role hierarchy, and it gives you a simple hierarchy like it's a first have a executive staff in which they are some CEO, president, and CFO, etc., like that. So let's click on this setup roles button, and it takes you to the new page where you can set up the new role hierarchy according to your requirement. So here we have expanded all and a collapse all option given on the top. To expand each and everything, you can click on this expand all. So here are the some roles that are already created. If you try to delete the role that have in between role under it, you are not able to do that. So it's very necessary to delete the roles from the end, like you can firstly delete that, after that you can delete this one, and similarly kind that if you want to delete this role hierarchy completely, you can delete it also. And if you don't want to delete it, you can simply create up your roles also, and start working on the thing. So let's try to create up the new role. So for creating up the new role, we have to click on the add role option. This add role option is under each and every role. So firstly you need to decide what kind of a roles you want, and what are their hierarchy. So for example, I want to create up the role for the CEO, and I want that it will be under this prime job role. So here you can see that this CEO is already created, so we don't need to create it again. And next I want to add as a manager. So to adding up a manager, I simply click on the add role option that is under this EO role. So I click on this add role. It's take me to the page where I can edit the role. So it has different fields like a label where we specify the name of the role that reflects its purpose or the position it represents within the organization. We have a role name that is the internal name used for the reference, or you can say API name, and it is get automatically populated based upon the label that we have entered. The next is that this role reports to. This indicates that the superior or a manager to whom this role report directly. And next is a role name as displayed on a report. So it indicates that how the role name will be displayed upon the reports generated within the Salesforce. If you want to add some another name to the generated reports, you can add it. If you want to leave it blank, you can leave it, and you finally need to click on the save button to complete all such things. So here I am going to create it up a manager as a role. So I enter the label as a manager. It automatically fetch out the role name, and this role that is a manager role reports to the CEO, which is already selected. So I click on the save button. So after that it takes me to the page where you can edit it, delete it, or assign the users to that particular role, but we are not going to do anything right now. So we again move back to the page where we can create more roles. So for moving it back, you need to click on the back arrow to go back to the roles page, and it will take you to the page where we get a hierarchy of our roles. And here you can see that. So here it creates a manager as a role that is visible on your screen right now. Now I want to create one more role for our application, that is a team lead role, and I want that to be inside the manager role. So I click on the add role option that is under this manager role hierarchy. I click on this add role, and this time it's take again me back to the page where we have to enter up the details. So as I want to create up the team lead, so I create here the label as a team lead, and the role name is automatically populated. You can see that it shows that this role reports to the manager. Here it gives a lookup. If you want to change it, you can change it as per your requirement, but I want to report it to the manager, so it is already selected, and it's fine. I don't want to enter anything in the role name as displays on the format, so I simply click on the save button. and it successfully created up a team lead role, and it's take me to the page where I can assign user to that particular role. But I click on the back arrow and go back to the previous tab where we get role hierarchy, so that I can create more number of roles here. So here you can see that under this manager section we have a team lead, and now under this team lead I want to add associate roles. It can be one or more than one as per your requirement. So now for creating up the associate role, I click on the add role option that is given under this team lead. I click on that, and it will take me up to the page where I can edit the details. So here I enter the label as a associate, and it automatically set up the role name to associate, and it reports to the team lead. So it's fine. So I click on the save button, and once I click on the save button, it successfully created up one more role, that is a associate role, and it's reports to the team lead. So let's go back and see how it's look right now. So once I go back, it will take me to the page of the role hierarchy where we can see it in a tree structure format. If you want to change this format, here we on the right side have a list view for it. You can see it in a tree view or a sorted list view or the list view, whatever you want to see, you can see that. So and according to our application, we have created up here multiple roles. On the first, we create up the CEO under this prime jobs that reports to the prime jobs. The next, we have created a manager role that is under the CEO. It means that it reports to the CEO. And under manager, we have a team lead role that reports to the manager, it means. And after that, we have a associate role under this team lead, which means that these associate will report to the team leads. So with this, we have successfully learned up how we can create a role in Salesforce. And with this, our this steps ends here. Now we will proceed to the next step and learn about users in Salesforce. So let's firstly understand what does we mean by the users in Salesforce. So here we have a user, which means that the user are the individual. So users are the individual who have access to a Salesforce organization, and each user has a username and the password, and is assigned a profile that determines that their permissions and the setting that they have. Basically the user is the person who are using your Salesforce org. Like we are also a user, but we are a admin user, we are not a simple user. So now let's proceed and learn to create up the user in Salesforce Lightning. So here we are on a Salesforce, and now to create up the user in a Lightning interface according to your application, we have to click on the gear icon and click on the setup option to open up one new home setup page, so that we can reach to the user section. And on the left side we have a quick find box, and here we need to type up the users, so we can get the options of the users to create up the users here. And it will show you the result of the users under this user section. You need to click on the users for that, and it will take you to the page where you will get a list of multiple users that are in Salesforce that are already created here. So here you can see that it has 4 users, that is a security one, user integration, and the one is a administrator, and one is a chatter expert. So these are all active user, and these users are come pre-built with this Salesforce when you logged in or create up your account. Now to create up a new user, we have two options. Either you can create a user in a single go, like by choosing up the new user option, but if you want to create a multiple users in a one go of a same license, you can do that by clicking on a add multiple user button. So let's click on this add multiple user button, as I want to create multiple user in one go. So here you can see that it will firstly give up you the thing like what are the number of licenses that are available. Here it gives the name of the license with the number of the licenses available. Now you need to scroll down, and here we have a add user section, and in it we have a user license field. It will prompted you to choose the appropriate user license for the user from the drop down menu, and the user license determine the features and the functionality available for that particular user. So here we have a different users licenses, and this time we are going to use up the Salesforce one as per our requirement. So I click on the Salesforce. So it's allow us to create only one user because I am using the free developer edition. It's upon your Salesforce account, like which edition you have purchased and how many number of licenses you have a particular purchase for that thing. So now let's understand the fields that are given here. Firstly, it gives us the first name field. This field represent the first name of the user. Next we have the last name field, and this field represent the last name, or you can say a surname for the user. Then we have a email, or you can also call it as a username, and this fields specify the username for the user Salesforce account, and the user will use this email address to log in into the Salesforce. And it is very important to note it down that it must be a valid and a unique email address for each user. Then next we have a profile, and from here you need to select the appropriate profile for the user from the drop down menu, and the profile determine the permission and the access that you want to grant to that particular user. The next we have a role, and the role determines the level of access a user has to a records within the Salesforce. If your organization uses a role to control access to a data, assign a role to that particular user. Okay, so there are very reduced number of fields to create a multiple user in a one go. So let's create up our first user, that is Jack Brown. And here I am going to enter up its email ID. Make sure that this email is not in already used and it must be unique and in a valid format. So let's add one random email ID here. So here I take the temporary email ID and I have added it down, and the next we have to choose up the profile. So as you know that we have already created a profile for our application, and its name is a Prime Jobs Employee Task Tracker. So here we get it. So you need to click on that, and then you have to specify its role. Suppose I want to create it as a manager, so I click on the manager role for it and click on a save button to completely save it. So once I click on a save button, it will take us back to the page where you will get the list of the users that are active in the Salesforce. And if you want to add some more detail about that particular user, you can click on the edit option that is given next to it, and once you click on this edit option, it will open up the page for this particular user, that is a Jack Brown in our case, and it will shows you each and every detail that you can allow this user, like what its mailing address, what is phone number, what is its employee number, and what's its time zone. If you want to add more functionality, you can do with it, and after doing all such thing, you simply need to click on the save button. Now let's have a look how this user get informed that he or she has their account in your Salesforce organization. So here I have used this thing. It get nothing. To check the reason why it is not receive any mail, we move back to our application where we are creating up the user. I click on the edit button next to it to check why it's not get a email. So I click on that particular user, and it will show me all the details for that particular user here. Now I scroll down to the end, and here you can see that last we have a checkbox of a generate a new password and notify a user immediately. So you need to click on this checkbox and click on a save button to save it. Once you click on that, it will sends a email to a user. Here you can see that finishing resetting your Salesforce password. Basically, when you have created up a user, you have to inform a user that you have created it up for your organization. It's very necessary to send them this generate password email, because otherwise the user is not able to log in. Like in our case, the employees don't have any access to work, so setting up its password, it's necessary to send them this resetting of a password mail. So when the user click on that, the mail looks something like that. Here you can see that it shows that it has a subject of finishing resetting your Salesforce password, and it's give your email address, and this links expire within a 24 hour. If you want to reset your password, you have to click on this link within a 24 hours, and set a new password for a user. Now let's see how it's do. Let's click on that link and it will take you to the new page. So these are the things that are particular for the employee side. You don't need to do anything. The employer will automatically receive up the mail, or he or she will do all such settings. You don't need to do that thing, but I'm just letting you know how it's working basically in the backend. So here it is, the reset password button. You need to click on that and it will take you up to the page where you can change your password, and the password must be a 8 character and it have one letter or one number in it. So let's enter up your password here. So here I enter the password in a new password and the confirm password field. Basically the new password field contains the password that you want to set up, and in the confirm new password field you again enter up the password that you have entered in the new password field for the confirmation. Then you have to set up the security question, like we have multiple questions here. You can set it as per your accordance. So the first question is, in what city you were born? I want to set it up this, so I simply add up my city in which I am born, and here I click on the change password option, and it will successfully change up my password as per the password that I have entered. And it takes you to the page where you will get the interface of a lightning as per your permissions that is given to you according to your profile or the role that you have assigned while creating up your account. So I want to show something for that particular user. Like let's open one. Wait, just let me shift it to the new window so we don't get confused which account we are using. So this account is based upon the user. So let's open one new setup for it, so we get to our application, and I want to show you something before we will proceed to our next step. Here I am on application. So here we need to click on the app launcher. So here I click on that, and here I am trying to searching for my application, but I don't get any result regarding that. So let's click on this view all and check whether it is here or not. So you can see that we don't have any application with the name as a task assignment tracker in the all apps. It means this user don't have access to that particular application. Now we will move to our next step, and so let's give them access to the application that we have created. Now basically we are on the step where we will learn to set up the application level security. So let's first understand what does we mean by that. The application level security refers to the security measure that is implemented at the level of the entire Salesforce application, such as who can view the specific app or not. You have seen right now the user that we have created doesn't have any permission to view the application that we are created in this project. So to give them access of this particular application, we have to set up the app level security. So now let's learn how we can do that. So for this you need to open up your administrator account, not work on the user accounts. Just check which account is open. So I move back to my administrator account. So here I am on the administrator 1. Now to set up the app level security, I open one new setup. I click on the gear icon and then click on a setup option. It will take me to the main home setup page, and once you get this thing, you need to click on the quick find box that is given left, and from here you need up to choose the profiles because we want to grant the permission access to particular user. So we get this option under user section. So I click on that. It will take me to the page where you will get the list of all the profiles that are in Salesforce. Now it's time to find out the profile on which you are working right now. So as we have created up the profile with name as a prime job employer task tracker, so here we are not getting up all the profiles. So just click on this arrow given next to the page number. So from here you can set up the 50 or 100 records that you want to display on per page. So it will give you the list of all the profiles that are here. So we have created a profile with the name as a prime job employee task tracker, but I am not getting it in the result. So let's see the reason behind that. When you click on your profile option that is given on the right side, you can see that it is logged in with the account that is of a user. In my case, it is open up with the account of a Jack Brown, and this Jack Brown is a user, not an administrator. So whenever now I am clicking on the setup, it's open up the user's account. So don't get all such things. we need to log out this account, and once I click on this log out, it successfully logged out the user account that we have to open up. So again, move to the tab of your administrator account and open up one new setup page, and it will ask you to log in this time again, otherwise it will not able you to log in that particular account. So let's enter your username and password of your administrator account for a Salesforce. So now here I am successfully logged into my administrator account. So I again search for the profiles in the quick find box, and once I get this under this user section, I click on that. It will take me back to the page where I will get the list of all the profiles that are in Salesforce, and now I will search for the profile that I have created named as a prime jobs employee task tracker. To get the list of all the employees, I selected to show the 50 record in a one go, and here is my profile. I want to edit it out, so I simply click on the edit button given next to it. So once I click on that, it will take me to the page where we can edit this prime jobs employee task tracker profile, and here we have a section as a custom app setting. You need to go to this section. It has two check boxes like visible and default one. So this visible setting determines whether the particular app is visible to the users within the Salesforce org profile or not, and by uncheck all the visible checkboxes respective to the application that you don't want to be visible to the user, and only make the visible checkbox checked for the application that you want the user of this particular profile access. Next we have a default thing, and it will be the initial page that user encounter when they log into the Salesforce account, and check this checkbox for the respective app that you want to set as a default one. And after doing all such things, you simply need to click on the save button and save all the things. So here you can see that we have a several applications that is visible to the user of this particular profile, and you can see that here is our application that is a task assignment tracker, and it is not visible because this visible checkbox is unchecked in this case. Now check the visible checkbox for the application that you want to show to that particular profile user. So I only want to show this task assignment tracker application, so I check this checkbox and start unchecking the rest of the visible checkboxes because I don't want to make it visible to the user of this profile. And one more visible checkbox I keep checked, which is all tabs, that I want that all tabs are visible to the user, and I want to make this task assignment tracker as a default landing page for the particular users of this profile. So I click this radio button next to it and uncheck this sales standard also, and now I have make the changes according to our requirement. So we click on the save button to successfully saved up the security feature that handles the application level security in our application, and it allows all the user of the profile to access the application that we have created, the task assignment tracker. So now let's again log into the user account and see now that user is able to view this application or not. So here you can see that I open up a account for the user, that is Jack Brown, we have created. You can click on the profile and you can see that this is the account for the Jack Brown, and you can see that by default it is redirected to the task assignment tracker application. Until now no item is visible to it. No item means no object is visible to that particular application. So let's proceed to the next step, and this time we are going to setting up the security feature for the objects that are not visible for that particular profile. So now let's first understand what does we mean by the object level security. Basically this object level security control the access to individual objects and their record within the Salesforce application. As you have seen that we are not able to view that objects that we have created under this application. Let's give the access to that particular user that we have created, and do some restrictions that we want to apply. So let's move and do the process to set up the object level security. So to set up the object level security in Salesforce Lightning, I open up my home setup page. We again need to search for the profile in the quick find box because we are setting up the object level security on the basis of the profile. So we need to select the profile first on which we want to set up the object level security for the user that are under this profile. So here I get the list of the profiles. I expand this list and find out the profile name as the prime jobs and click on the edit button next to it, and it will take you to the page that is particular to this prime jobs employee task tracker profile. Now you need to scroll down and reach yourself to the custom object permission settings. Here we have a tab settings section. Now you can scroll down. Here is the administrator permission, you don't need it. Scroll down and here you get the journal user permission, we also don't need to that. And here we have a standard object permissions, and here you can see we have a custom object permission. You can see that here we have two custom object employees in the task assignment, and to these objects there are no permission is granted. For that reason the user is not able to see these objects. So let's give the permission that we want to give. Here we particularly have the basic access permissions and the data administrator permissions. With the checkbox we have a read access permission. It allows basically user to view the record of the custom object. Then we have a create permission that allows a user to create a new record for the custom object. After that we have a edit permission that enables the user to modify the existing record of the custom object. And then we have a delete permission that grants the user the ability to delete the record for the custom object. And in the data administrator permissions we have two kind of permissions that are the view all and modify all. And view all allows the users to view all the record of the custom object regardless of the ownership or the sharing settings. And modify all grants the user the ability to perform all the crude operations like a create, read, update or delete on all the record of the custom object regardless of the ownership and the sharing setting. So as per your requirement you have to set up the object level security according to my requirement. For our applications that we are created we have two objects. You all know that we have two objects, employee and the task assignment. I want to grant that only users are able to view the list of the employee that we have created. They are not able to create it, edit it or delete it. These permissions are only in the hand of the administrator. So I just want that a user are only able to read the employee. So here I click the checkbox under the read basic access permission for the employee. Now for the task assignment I want that user are able to read the record, create the record, edit the record and delete the record under it. I don't give any administrator permission like view all and modify all because I want to restrict that only the users who have created the record are only able to see that. For restricting up the record level security later on I am not giving any view all and modify all permissions. Now you can scroll up and here you can see that here are some standard objects that have some kind of a permissions. Now I don't want to grant them any kind of permission, so I simply uncheck all the permission as I don't want to grant them. I don't want the user under this profile have any kind of permission for the standard objects or the other objects that we have. It sometimes give you the pop-up for the confirmation that you want to revoke it or not. So you simply need to click on the OK because we don't want to grant them these permissions. So here you can see that it gives a pop-up. Just click on OK and it uncheck the check boxes given under these permission for these particular standard object that you have in Salesforce org. So here I am unchecking all the permissions one by one, and once you finally do all the changes you simply need to click on the save button that is given on the top to save the object level security that have you assigned to the users that are under this profile named as a prime jobs employee task tracker. So finally I click on a save button. Now let's open up the user account again and see how this object level security works upon the user. So now you can see that I open up the user account for the Jack Brown, and this time I am getting the two tabs that are given on the navigation bar of the application. First one is employee and the next is a task assignment. Let's click on the employees, and here you can see that you don't have any option of creating a new employee. It will only show you the list of the employees that are already created. Till now we don't have any employees, so the user is not able to see that. And in the task assignment you can see that it has a button for the new, and you can create up the new task assignment under this task tracker application, and it asks you to choose up the record type first, and you have to select it, click on the next button, and it gives you the field that it is given you in the administrator org of a Salesforce. So let's see we have some user or not. I click on all. You can see that it shows you the task as a bulk email system. I hope you reminded that we have created one task, so it is visible. So to checking up for the employees, let's create one employee at the administrator level and see is it visible to the user or not. So to do that, I open my administrator account, and to create up a new record I click on the setup, and it takes me to the main home setup page of a Salesforce Lightning interface, and I click on the app launcher, and here I am going to search for my application, that is a task assignment tracker. I click on that, and it will take me to the application. And now here on the navigation bar I have two objects, that is employee, and the employee one is open, and you can see that we have one employee. Okay, let's move back to your user account and see are you able to view the user or not. So let's click on this recently viewed list view and click on the all from here, and you can see that you will get a employee ID as a TS hyphen 001. When you click on that, it will show you the detail of this employee. You can see that it will automatically taken up you to the task assignment tab. When you click on this particular employee, you are not able to do anything for this employee. If you want to delete it, you can see that there is no action available, and there is no action available also for creating up the new employees under this user profile. So with this we have also set up the object level security. Now we will proceed and try to implement the tab level security, because I want that the user is not able to view the list of the employees also. User only get one tab, that is a task assignment tab. But so now let's first understand what does we mean by the tab visibility. So the tab visibility setting control which tabs are visible to the user in the Salesforce application or not. So let's proceed and move to your administrator account and learn to set up the tab visibility for your application. Now let's learn to set up the tab level security for the application. So here to set up the tab level security, I am open my account as an administrator. This moment I am working on my administrator account, not on the user account, because I am an administrator. I want to set up the tab visibility for the user. So here on the quick find box that is located on the left side, here I search for the profiles, because we are going to set up the tab level visibility on the basis of the profiles that we have created. So here I get a profile under a user. I click on that and it will take me to the profile setup page, and you all know that here we will get the list of profiles. Now it's time to choose up for the profile on which you want to work up, and you all know that we have created a profile name as a prime jobs employee task tracker, and I click on the edit option that is given next to it to edit it. Once I edit, it will take me to the profile that is a prime jobs employee task tracker. Now I scroll down and reach to the section of a tab settings. So here is the tab setting, or you can say it is a settings for the tab visibility. Now we have to edit it, and here we have a standard tab settings, and once you scroll down you will also get the settings for the custom tab. So we only have a two tabs, that is the employee and the task assignment, and it gives options in a drop down. You can see that we have a three option. The first is a default on, which is by default set up to the on. So when a tab is set to default on, it means that the tab will be visible and accessible by default to users when they log in into the Salesforce, and they don't need to take any additional action to enable or display the tab, and it will automatically available for them to use. So here I open Jack Brown profile, and you can see that when the tab is set up to default on, the user is able to see the tab on the application. Now the next option is of a default off. So when a tab is set to default off, it means that the tab will not be visible or accessible to user by default when they log in into the Salesforce account, and user will need to manually enable or activate the tab if they want to view it. Basically, this default off doesn't off the tab, it will hide the tab from the navigation bar, and if the user want it, the user can use it by making some settings. It will be visible on the navigation bar. The third option is of the tab hidden. Now this setting allow basically administrator to completely hide a tab from the user. When a tab is set to a tab hidden, it will not be visible or accessible to user at all, regardless of their profiles or permission. Like in our case, we want that the users are not able to view the employee tab. So I want that the user not able to see this employee tab at any cost. Even if they try to set up it on the navigation bar, the user is not able to do that thing. So for that we have to choose up which option, the tab hidden option. So here I selected the tab hidden option for the employee tab that we have created, and after that we have to click on the save button. And before I click on the save button, I want to let you know that the task assignment tab is default on. I keep this as a default on because I want that the user is able to see when they log in into your application, and they will get this tab on their navigation bar. So here I click on the save button, and once I click, it will successfully set up my tab visibility for the users that are in the profile of the Prime Jobs employee task tracker. So let's move to the user profile and see how it's working. So here till now you are able to see that now when I refresh their profile, the user is not able to see this employee tab anymore. You can see that here the employee tab is not visible. Even I click on this pencil that is given on the navigation bar to make the personalized changes. If I click on this add more items and search for the employee tab, you can see that I am getting nothing regarding that. Okay, so this is the difference between default off and default hidden. If I set its settings to the default off and I click on the pencil and search for employee here, I will get the tab and easily able to set it up on the navigation bar. But as I have choose the option of a tab hidden, I am not able to do anything to make it visible on the navigation bar at any cost, and it is only be handled at the administrator background to make it visible to the user again. So I hope you have clearly understood how we set up the tab visibility. Now we will move to our next step and learn to set up the record level security using the OWD. So now let's move back to the administrator profile and learn to set up the record level security. So before I show you how to set up the record level security, I want to show you something like if as an administrator I log into my application. Just a second. Here I search for the application as a task assignment tracker in the app launcher, and here I get it, and when I click on that, it will take me to the application. And you can see that as an administrator I get both the tabs, that is employee and task assignment. I click on the task assignment one, and here is a recently viewed. I click on all, and here I have a gear icon. I click on that, and here it has option of a selected fields to display. So I want to display the task name and the created by, who created it by, to let you know that who is the owner of this task, who have created this task. So it is shown the name of the administrator, as in my case Tanya is the administrator for this account. And so let's now move back to the user account and refresh it, and here you can see that it also make the changes to this application object, that is a task assignment. It also shows the created by name. So here you can see that it shows the administrator name. Now I want that the user only able to see the records that he or she have created. The user is not able to see the record the person above in their hierarchy. Like in our case, that the application we have created, we created the Jack Brown as a manager, and above manager we have a administrator as a role or a CEO as a role. Okay, so I don't want that the manager is able to see the task that is done by the CEO or the administrator, or the anything that is created by the administrator. I don't want that the team lead can able to see the task of the manager. So for that reason I want to apply the record level security. So till now the user is able to see all the records that is created by the administrator also. So let's learn to set up this record level security, but before we will see that, we will firstly understand what does we mean by the record level security. So the record level security governs the access to the specific record within the object in Salesforce. And to set up the record level security, we have different techniques, and in this application we are going to use up the OWD technique, that is the organization wide default. So let's understand it. What does it mean? So the OWD settings determine the default level of access that all users have to a record within an object, and this settings can be set to be a private, public read only, or a public read write. So let's proceed and learn to set up the record level security by using the OWD technique in our application. So here I open my account as an administrator, not as a user. So here I open the account of an administrator. You can also check that by clicking on the profile. Don't try to do anything on your user case, because you are not have any access, because we have a setting up the application access and the object level security. So if you are trying to do that, maybe you are not able to do that if you follow the step-by-step procedure with me. So just log in into your administrator account and do that setting with me. So now to setting up the record levels with the help of the OWD, you firstly need to open up one more setup. So here I click on the gear icon and open the setup. Once it's take me to the main home setup page of the lightning interface, you need to click on the quick find box that is given on the left side, and here you have to search for the sharing settings. Just type here and it will gives you the result under the security section of the Salesforce, and here I click on that once I get it, and it will take me to the page where I will get the sharing settings set up, and this page displays our organization sharing setting, and you can see that here we have a OWD default section, and it has a edit option. So we need to click on the edit option if we want to set up the record level security using the OWD, and once we click on that, we have to search for the object on which we want to set up these things. So as we are working for the task assignment object, so it must be located at the end because it is a custom type. So here we reached out at the end, and you can see that here we have a different access levels. So when I click on the drop down, it has three kind of access level, that is a private, public read only, and the public read write. So let's firstly understand about each of them. So if we talk about the public read write, it allows a user to view, edit and delete all the record. If you set up the public read only, it allow user to only view all the record, but only the record owner or a user in the higher access can edit or delete them. And if we talk about the private one, only the record owner or the user with the higher access can view or edit or delete the record. So this is the OWD setting, and it allows the user in the higher level to edit or delete or review its record, because here we have a one section of a grant access using hierarchy, and you can see that by default it is checked. These things is done because of these check boxes that are checked in that column. It allows basically higher level of rules to access their record in a read, write, edit and delete mode. So if you don't want to allow that thing also, you can uncheck these boxes, but I want to keep them as it is because our requirement is only that the person can only able to view, edit and delete and add their own record, and the person on their higher hierarchy can also do that. So we keep this box as a checked and only change the access level in the task assignment object and set it to be a private as our requirement that only the person who is creating the record and the person in their higher position can view, edit and delete it. So here I do that, and after doing such setting, we simply need to click on the save button. So once I click on the save button, it successfully saved up the record level security, and you can see that here it shows that one or more sharing operation has initiated. See below for the additional detail. Certain operation may not be available, so maybe sometime take a time to do all such settings, and sometime it is take time to set up because more than one sharing operation are in a one go. So let's now proceed to the user profile to see that it's working or not. And I want to let you know one more thing. The administrator get a email at their account once the organization wide default setting is set up. It will the Salesforce sends you a mail that it is successfully done, so you can check these things also. So now here you can see that I am on the user profile. Here I will show you. You can see that I am on the profile of a Jack Brown. Now it's able to see the record that is created by owner, but as I refresh it, it will not able to see that because the record level security setting is applied on that. You can see that this Jack Brown now is not able to see that. So with this we have also learned that how we can set up the record level security using the OW technique in Salesforce. So now let's move to the next step, and the next requirement of our application is that we want to create up the list that sort out the task that is created on the previous week. So in just a simple word, we want to sorting out the task that is created in the previous week. So how we can do that? So for doing that, there is one functionality in Salesforce which we called as a list view. Here you can see that on the top we have a all. This is called a list view. It has one drop down next to it. When you click on that, you can see that here list view is written on it. So it is the list view. When you click on all, it will show you all record. When you click on recently viewed, it will show you the records that is recently viewed. Similarly, like that, we are now going to create up one more list view that will show you the records of the previous week only when you click on that. So let's proceed and firstly understand what does we mean by the list view. So in Salesforce, a list view provide a way to display and organize the set of record based upon the specific criteria. Now let's proceed and learn how we can create the list view in that particular application. So here I open my account as an administrator. I once again show you that here I click on profile, and here you can see that I am logged in as an administrator. So once you successfully logged in, click on the gear icon and open one more new setup to create up the list view in Salesforce. So once I click on that, it will take me to the main home setup page, and now to setting up the list view, here we need to click on the app launcher, that is these 9 dots, or you can say a grid. You need to click on that, and here you need to search for the object on which you want to create up the list view, or you can also search for your application and then you will click on the tab and go to that particular object. It's your wish. So let's try it up with another way. I just simply search for my object name, that is a task assignment. Here I get my object under this item, so I click on that and it will take me to the object that I opened, that is a task assignment. It automatically move to the my application and open up this object that is a task assignment. And here you can see that we have a gear icon. We need to click on that, and here we have an option of a new. This new option is used to create up the list view in a Salesforce. Here you can see that it is the list view controls that are possible in this particular object. Once I click on new, it will open one pop-up that is a new list view, and it have some fields like a list view. Here we have to enter up the descriptive name for our list view so we can easily identify it later on, and the API name, you all know that is the internal identifier that is used by the users, and it is automatically populated based upon the list view name that you provide. And the third thing is who can see this list view. It has 3 different options, as all user can see this list view, and if you check this, it allow the list view will be visible to all user who have access to this particular object. And if you set only I can see this list view, this list view will be visible only to you and other user is not able to see that. And the last one is share list view with the groups or a user, and if you select that, you can specify a certain groups or roles or sub coordinate who can see this list view. Okay, so after that you need to click on the save button. As per our requirement, we want to create up the list view for the previous week, so we just name it as a previous week, and you can see that it automatically set up the API name for that. And here I want that all user can see the list view, because I want to user also to use that functionality to easily sort out their tasks. So here I select the radio button to all user can view this list view and click on the save. And once I click on a save, you can see that it create up one filter icon on the right side at the last, and you can see that it opens a filter section also on the right hand side. Now it's time to set up the filter to filter it out things, and it opens that. In the filter, you need to click on the add filter option that is given here. We have this, you need to click on that, and it open one side pop-up where you have to enter up some given details, which is a field, operator, and a value. This field refers to the field within the object where you want to apply the filter criteria. The operator determines how field's value should be compared to the specified value, and the value is the specific value against which you want to filter the chosen field. Okay, and after that you have to click on done. So as we are going to see the previous week record, so we have to create up the filter upon the created date. So on the date on which the task assignment is created, we have to set it up. So here I choose the field as a created date, and I select the operator as a equal, because I want to apply that it's equal to the last week. So here the value must be the last week, so here I enter the value as a last week, and I click on a done. So when I click on done, you can see that it created up one filter, that is a created date equals to last week. And if you want to add more filters, you can add it. If you want to add filter logics, you can also add it. But as per our requirement to this particular application, we have created up the list view that sorted out the task created in the last week. So we have done that. So we simply click on the save button to save these settings. So once you click on that, the filter is applied, and you can now see that no task is visible. Now click on this previous view drop down that is given on the top, and from here choose the all as a list view. You can see that at that moment only one is visible. If you click on the recently viewed, then also one record is visible, and if you click on the previous week, none of the record is visible, because as per our requirement, none of the record is created in the previous week. So this is the thing that we want to create to sort out our task. So with this we have completed the last step of our application. So let's move and compile what we have learned today, and at last we will completely run this application at the user end. So let's revise what we have done in this application. Firstly, we have created an Salesforce application name as a task assignment tracker. After that, we have created a two Salesforce object. One is the name as employee, the another is a task assignment, and we have created up these object with tab also, because we want to create up the tab for the navigation. And once we have created two objects, we added these two objects to the particular application name as a task assignment tracker in our case. Then we have created fields in two objects in employee and the task assignment. We have created different fields. Then we move ahead and apply the validation rule on the task assignment object, in which we have checked that if the task status is set to be completed, it is necessary to fill up the completed date of the task. After that, we move ahead and we have created up the record type, in which we have created four record types on the basis of technology as a cloud, SharePoint, programming in the database. Then we will change the layout of the task assignment page. We customize its layout according to our requirement, and then we proceed and created up a profile name as a prime jobs employee task tracker. Then we move ahead and create a different roles as a CEO, task manager, team lead, and associates. After that, we have created a user with a Salesforce license. We have created one user for the testing purpose, and then we will apply the security feature to make our application more secure. We apply the security at the application level, so that only the user is able to view the application that we have created name as a task assignment tracker. Then we have set up the object level security, because we want that the user is not able to edit, add and delete the employee object, and for that we have set up the object level security. Then we will proceed and set up the tab visibility, in which we had hide the employee tab from the task assignment tracker application. And then we proceed and set up the record level security using the OWD technique of a Salesforce. And we set up these settings because we want that the user are not able to see the records of the person who are in their higher authority. We only want that the person in the higher authority can view his or her own record with the person who have under their administration. Like we want that the person can only view his record and the record of the person who is under the guidance of him, or the person who reports to him. And at last we have created a list view to sort it out the task that we have created on the based of the previous date. So with this we have completely created one application that helps the organization to manage up their employees task. So now let's see how it's work at the employees end. So here I open the profile of the employee name as a Jack Brown. You can see that we have a profile of the Jack Brown, and we want to create up the new task for that. So we have here a new button given on the right. When we click on that, it open up the record type. It asks us to choose up the technology on which you are working. So let's suppose we choose up the programming as a technology, and then we click on a next. It will take us to the page where we have to create up the record by setting up some fields. And firstly we have to choose up the employee ID, and here till now we have only one employee ID. And if you remember your employee ID, you can search it for here, but it must be in the record of the organization. So here I choose up the employee ID of the Jack Brown, that is a TS001. After that I have to set up the task name. So I enter the task name as a login system. And the next thing is a choose of a technology. Here we have a three options. We have three different programming language like Python, PHP and Java. We have to select that by using which programming language this employee created this task. So it's working on a Python, so I have selected up the technology. And the next thing is that we have to set up the if this task is completed. So let's leave it blank till now. The next thing we have a task status. So I want to set it to be completed, and you can see that it automatically fetch up the start date on the today's date. And if the employee want to enter some of the comment, he or she can easily able to enter it, but I don't want to enter anything because it's a optional field. So let's try to save it. So you can click on save button. You can see that it gives an error, please provide a completed date when the task status is set to completed, because we have applied a validation rule, so it's not allow us to save it. So let's click on the completed detail feed and set it to when it's completed. So here I set up the date of a completion. So after that I click on a save. Once I click on a save, it successfully created up one record, and it will take me to the detail section of this thing. You can see that it shows a employee ID like TS001 Jack Smith, and it's a login name, and its status is set to be completed. Then the technology is Python, its start date is this, and completed date is that, and its comment is blank. The honor created by and modified is also shown. Don't get confused guys, because I have just randomly showing you. So here the name is not matching for the honor or the employee name. So when we work on the real cases, it will definitely match it up. So now let's see on how it's look at the administrator end. So here I open up my administrator account. So let's move to the employee object first, and here you can see that I have one employee. When I click it on, it will take me to the detail section of that particular employee, that employee ID is this and employee name is that. And when I click on related, you can see that it will give me the detail of all the tasks that is done by this particular employee, that he or she have to do tasks, that is a bulk email system and the login system. If I want to check it from here, we can also do that, but let's move to the task assignment object. So when I click on this task assignment application, it will show me the recently viewed only one as a task. So let's click on previous week. So it's give me nothing because we don't have in the previous week. So when I click on all, it gives me all the tasks that are there. So here we have a login system one also, and when I click on that, it shows me the detail of employee ID, employee name, and similarly all the fields that we have shown up in the user end. And when I again click on the task assignment, I hope you have noted it down, the administrator able to view up the two tasks, one is the login system and the bulk email system, but the employee is only able to see one task, that is a login system, because of the record level security. The employee is only able to see the record of herself or himself or the employees who are reporting to them. So with this, we have successfully reached to the goal and learned the Salesforce administrator with the help of an application.